Good evening, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Excellent. I'd like to welcome you all out to our school board meeting tonight. Actually, with Jen at home watching. Jeremy, are you taking some of those responsibilities on for?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh God, here we go.
so you and Jen worked that out before. I just,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, I just thought of that. All right, so if we could have our roll call
Okay. President Carnation,
here.
Vice President Bill Adams. Here. Trustee Stephanie Ahmad.
Here.
Trustee Malinali Lopez.
Here.
Trustee Eric Heitz.
Here.
And Student Board Member Kai Heflin.
Here.
All right,
Brian.
we're, if you all stand for the salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, Superintendent Decker, do we have anything to report out of closed session?
We do not.
All right, thank you. Adjustments to the agenda, we have 5.1 and 5.2. We've been asked to invert those, so we will have 5.2 first, and then we'll go 5.1 after that. I like to keep the numbers the same, but just the presentation, we'll just go with 5.2 first. Are there any other adjustments, anybody? Okay, perfect. Hold on a second. And I'd like to take this moment and turn over this microphone to Bill Adams.
Hi, and welcome, everybody. Before we get to our retirees, and it's great to see you all here. Thank you. We had, for those of you who didn't go over, we had a nice reception out in the patio over here at 5 o'clock, and thanks very much for all those who worked to put that up. We also have another member of our 7-person governance team. We have 5 elected, the superintendent and Kai, who sits at the end. We have had an amazing increase of the ability and engagement of our student board members over the past number of years, and Kai Heflin is no exception. Kai is a little bit more soft-spoken than some of his predecessors. I know when I went over, I know he liked art, and it's amazing when you walk into the lobby and there you see his AP art at the high school activities presentation that was done a few weeks ago. Another thing many of us did not know about him, he's that self-effacing. Our friend Kai had really the sky's the limit in where he was going to go to school. He has some very interesting public service and law enforcement aspirations. And then out of the blue, he shares he's going down to study engineering? Physics. At Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Like an honest to God, real rocket scientist. So Kai, if you'd come over, we have a couple of presentos for you. Come on down, and then we'll take a picture with the whole group. Most important, so you're committed now, right? You gotta go. So there's Kai. There's more, put them down. We have a nice writing pen so you can remember your calligraphy, right? As opposed to doing everything on the computer. And it's monogrammed to Kai Heflin from our student board member class of 2022. So good for you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, we're rolling, Dave. And then more importantly, as Coach Carnation said, we got to get him a sweatshirt. So he's a cool incoming first year, right? So there you go. And we got a card for you too, but I personally want to thank you, and maybe other trustees may want to say, thank you so much for your work. This is not a small job. Kai was here when we were stepping back into school after 2 years of not being here and helping us understand the pulse and the concerns of our students is such an important piece, and you have continued to deliver like your predecessors did. And he also carved out some time and went down to the California Student Board Member, California School Board Association convention down in San Diego. And they hadn't done it for 2 years, and he came down and spent the day there and was incredibly well engaged and got great reports about your engagement with your peers. So thank you very much. We're going to miss you, brother, and good luck to you. We look for good things.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Anybody else want to speak before
I'll say a minute's worth or so here. So it was probably 5 or 6 years ago when I was early on the board that we did not have student board members. And so we made it a point to involve our students through the leadership classes and such. And so we've had some great examples. They've all learned and progressed throughout the years. Kai is the first male since, what was his name? Oh goodness, I'm sorry. Drawing a blank. Natal Tarini, yes. And so it's been a few years since we had another male on the board as a representative. It's great that we have equal access to everybody involved. And we are pleased that you're choosing to go to a good school and you'll do well with physics and you'll do well with whatever you strive to look forward in the future. And we're going to miss you, but please come back and give us a report once in a while on how you're doing, or, our emails, send us something along the way that you're doing well down there, and we'll look forward to following your progress. So congratulations and well done.
Thank you. What Kai, as well as the other student trustees that we've got to know over the time, they literally are the gift that keeps on giving. And when we were down in San Diego, we were down to the convention, we were learning different things and what have you. And so we all went to lunch, and I've told the story before, I think. But we had a great time. It was fun to watch Kai go out away from home, away from Windsor, down there and learn what different things at a fish market are for and how they taste, and that big old cheeseburgers are not really that good at a fish market, but that's what he wanted. And so anyhow, but Kai, every time I see you, every time I hear something about you, I'm just more and more impressed with all the different things that you do, the service that you give to others, and the spirit that you just generally radiate whatever to everybody around you. And it's been awesome being with you. And I wish you the best of luck in school and the future. So, and keep in touch.
Okay, I'll say something. So Kai, I think we have kind of kindred spirits because I have a fear of missing out, FOMO. Generally, I think Kai has FOMO also, like he wants to do everything. And I've noticed that since you've become student board member, you have always participated in pretty much everything that we've done, everything that we've invited you to. And I just think that it's great that you're so engaged and that you want to be a public servant when you're older, maybe a physicist, which is a public service to the world. So I have no doubt that you will be successful because you're so engaged and you're actually genuinely interested in everything that you do. So good luck to you. We will miss you.
So I feel that I have to say something. So Kai, I just want to say that I've been observing you since you joined the board, and I really think that the quiet leaders are the best ones. So I really think you've been the best one here in this group, and I've just really enjoyed working with you. I've enjoyed working with you and just seeing how you engage with everybody. So thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Manal and Ali.
Any words? We'll take a picture with you too.
Yeah, no, is everybody, we all good? All right.
Yeah, so
You could say it during your report in a few minutes if you want.
I did include sort of my farewell address in my report.
Okay. Yeah, if you can wait if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for that, and then I'll talk more
Okay.
about that. Thank you.
Are we
Sounds
going to go down there?
Yep, we're gonna get a picture real quick.
I mean, down there.
No, I think
Uh,
Oh, just right
He's
here. Okay.
tall. We make him stand.
Okay.
bring the Cal Poly back. Now come in the middle, Kai.
Sure, we have that good.
We'll do it like this, that way it comes
You want to
right.
be in there too? Come and get down in front?
Oh.
Okay.
That's my mom. That's your mom?
My mom.
Yeah, look at Chris real quick.
Wait, let me just take off my mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take our message. We'll say, we're here. And thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Yes. In about 12 years, we'll have the little one be in the next.
Yeah, we're growing our own. I love it.
All righty. Moving to 3.2, celebrating success. We're going to, celebration of our 2020 retirees. This is going to be presented by Chris Meredith.
You want the footrest?
No, I got it.
There we go. Got to turn it on. I want to congratulate all the retirees and just thank them for coming this evening. Thank everybody who helped to throw the party together and for showing up. And we're going to play a slideshow and a presentation that Brad and our HR secretary, Donna Ercolini, put together. And then when it's your retirees' time, we'll call them up to the podium with either their principal, family, or whomever else would like to join them. And we have some gifts, clocks for each retiree this evening. So without further ado, we'd like to invite Sam Pardo and Sochi up to the podium. And Sochi has graciously volunteered to say a few words on behalf of her father and longtime custodian in our district, Sam.
Okay, I hope I can get through this without shedding any tears. Dad, it's been an honor. 5 years in this district with you was not enough, and I'm gonna miss you a lot. And not just me, because everybody here and everybody throughout the whole district knows this is Sam. And we're gonna miss the smile that we kind of can't always see underneath the mustache, and your friendly face and your helpful attitude, and just knowing, you know, if I ever needed anything, pick up my phone and call my dad, and he's there in a flash, you know? And I know that's everybody's experience with you here in the district. Having my daughters be able to see their abuelito on campus, it's just an experience I never imagined. And I just feel so blessed that we were able to share these 5 years with you here. And we're gonna miss you a lot, but I know you're gonna have a lot of fun on your next chapter in life. And in a way, thank you, Dad, because I'm part of this district because of you. And this is our family, our extended family. So thank you. Love you, Pops.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, feel free.
Well, I want to say thank you. First of all, I thank God for life and thank the district for the opportunity to be here. I believe that I had some perhaps skills that I brought along with me, and I picked up skills while I was here. Somehow, I believe that there is a reason why I came. A lot of people think that I've been here all my life because of many years I was at Cali volunteering, and it used to be, and perhaps it's still the same, kind of like same 5 people that volunteer were the same volunteers for 10 years, you know. And I hope it changed and there is more involvement from parents with the kids and with the teachers. But I have been a resident of Windsor since 1970. So I have seen the city and the schools grow. I have seen my kids grow. And I have always been very proud to be part of this family. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sochi. Okay, I'd like to welcome Raisa Araujo. I hope I pronounced that correct. And I don't know that she's here this evening. So if we would like to say a few words on her behalf, that would be amazing. And we have Vicki and Sharon coming to the podium to speak on behalf of this next retiree.
Good evening. I'm Vicki Long, and I'm the principal for North County Consortium. And Riza Arahu has been a paraeducator in our program for probably more than 10 years. And these are some of the things that Riza says that she's going to do when she retires, or what her most memorable event in her years working for the school district. She says it's difficult to choose one in particular, but she can say that it's been very memorable to see how the children with special education needs make progress day by day with their goals and feeling the gratitude of their families. Just to speak to that, Riza has always been a really calm and steady presence in the classroom. She's very reliable and has always been able to really bring the best out in the children, and really enjoys what she's doing. And you can really see that when you see her in the classroom working with the kids. Words of advice she has for those following in her footsteps: like everything in life, whatever you do, do it with enthusiasm, patience, perseverance, joy, and you will succeed. And I couldn't say it better about Riza than what she just said, because what she says is exactly how she presents at work. She says what she's looking forward to during retirement is continuing having an active life, doing what she likes most. And what I do know about her is that she recently has some grandchildren, and she's been spending a lot of time with her grandchildren. So that's very exciting. So that's it.
Hi, I'm Sharon Furr. I'm the principal of Cali, Kalmakak, and Raisa is one of our morning yard duties. And she is definitely a presence. She's super bubbly, fun, has an amazing accent. I love her accent in Spanish and in English. And one of the things that stands out the most about her is, even though she's only at our campus for an hour a day, she is a huge advocate for all of our yard duty staff. She will speak up whenever she sees anything that needs to be done, adjusted, and has no trepidation in approaching administration and saying, hey, this needs to be fixed. So she's amazing. I did not know that she worked with Vicki, so this is new for me. So it's really fun to hear how amazing she is in more than one place, and we will definitely miss her. And I'm happy for her in her next phase of life, because she has definitely put in the time, the hours, and the soul to be able to move on.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Sharon. Donna Hoey, I believe, is in the building. And we would like Annette to join, and Pete Stefanisco as well.
Hi, I'm Annette Zacconi, principal at Brooks Elementary. Really happy to acknowledge Ms. Donna Hoy. Donna and I actually met probably about 13 years ago.
Oh, goodness.
Girls were in high school together. They were friends for a bit until they had a boy spat, and then that's history. But we remained friends because we can move through those things. She wasn't my boyfriend. She's been teaching for 38 years, 24 years in the Windsor Unified School District. And I have such a great respect for the love that she puts out every single day for kids. She shared with us in a little survey that, her favorite moments are when the light bulb goes off and she sees the aha look in a student's eye. And I think all of us educators can relate to that. It's a moment where we get feedback on the success of our efforts. So I hope you still find those happening. I hope and I trust you're going to come back and be a nice, solid volunteer at my site. Words of advice, and this is so powerful, and every new teacher needs to hear this, is she suggests being patient and being open to the new things that come in education. She says she's not really sure what she's going to do in retirement. She is going to get a third knee replacement. So that's going to be her first point of action. And then after that, she's going to do some traveling. Donna, we're going to miss you every day, but I know you're going to be back with us. So you want to say something?
Oh, heck no.
Okay. 11 days. 11
One
days till
Monday.
summer.
Go, Marty. It's your turn.
Oh, no, Pablo's up.
Oh.
Marty's next at my side. Is there a way for us to get to her?
Yes.
And then you won't have to see me twice.
Yeah, we apologize. We did some more work to this, and it's not necessarily an order by site as it was before we added.
There she is. There she is, Miss Marty Fritz. Marty's been with the district. Marty's been with the district since '98, and in 2017 got Teacher of the Year. She says that's one of the really special moment with us. She also has some words of advice, and I love it. I'm ready to like make a book with this stuff. This her suggestion is that people coming into this field spend time collaborating with their colleagues, and also developing really strong, good relationships with their students and families. Good management in the classroom always helps, right? And she is an active woman. She's going to be golfing, biking, skiing, cooking, arranging flowers, and hopefully jumping on a river cruise down the Rhine River. Congratulations, Marty. I'm going to miss you.
That was really nice.
You want to say anything? No. All right. She's not going to say anything either. All right. Thank you.
Whoever you got next, Brad. We're doing it organically. Okay, is Pablo Figueroa here with us tonight? No, he's not. Okay, Sharon will come up and say a few words on behalf of Pablo.
So Maestro Fig, or just Fig, that's what he's known as at Cali, is a very fun, animated, amazing human being who makes Roman history exciting in Spanish. That is a feat within itself. I'm so sorry if I offend anyone here, but I have never enjoyed history. I was a science and math gal, but whenever I go into his class, I am absolutely captivated. And that is a talent that I have seen very few people continue to have on a daily basis, one day after another. He is an avid storyteller, historian, amazing. And he relates so incredibly well to his students. I had the pleasure of having two of my children in his class, and they both absolutely loved his class. And I think one might have even had a crush on him, but he's been the topic of many of our dinner conversations because, you know what Fig said today? Do you know what he did today? So it's extremely impressive how engaged students are in his class. He is definitely not one to want to be in the spotlight or to talk about himself. So he wrote nothing about himself and is not here. But I absolutely adore him and respect him. And it will be a huge hole that he is leaving at our school. Gigantic. I think most recently I was with my current 10th grade child and we were watching the movie Coda, which I don't know if anyone has seen. It's I think it won an Academy Award because it has actors that are deaf in it. Then the main characters are deaf, and there is a teacher in there. He's a music teacher, and my daughter just looked at me and went, "Oh my gosh, that's the music version of Fig." Right there. And it was just really neat to see because she was right. I was like, yeah, you're right. That's totally what he's like. So he'll be leaving a huge hole. But he's going on to bigger and better things. And I know he will be having fun. hopefully going back to Puerto Rico to spend time with family and surf and be outdoors, but we will miss him. I think we have a student that wants to say something.
I'm already crying. I just think teachers are so important, and I'm kind of sad he's not here, but Mr. Fig is just such an amazing teacher, and I wish my little sister could have gotten some time with him, but I know all my friends and everyone who's gotten to be with Mr. Fig love him so much. Yeah, I'm excited to see or just know that he's happy doing what he loves. Yeah, going back to Puerto Rico, he always talked about how much he loves it there. But yeah, Mr. Fig is amazing.
Let's go to Hilda, please. Hilda. There we go. So Hilda Rizzo, is she and her family here this evening? All right.
Now, I'm going to try not to cry, Hilda. So Hilda has been a part of the Cali community since its inception as a parent, and then as a paraeducator, right? And retired as my admin assistant and my friend and my supporter and my lifter-upper and my commoner and was really, I would say, you know, the Oz behind the curtain of Cali. She knows everything about the school. She knows all the kids, all the families, all the staff, and is probably one of the most kindest, generous, calm, amazing people that I have ever met in my life. And I know that our office staff was blessed to have her be a part of our community. She just lifted everybody up. Always, always, no matter where you are, you're lifting people up. And it's amazing because not everybody can do that. She retired a year ago. She left me almost. Right when we were coming back, I knew she would. I knew it was time. She has a slew of grandchildren now, and they all came very quickly. And she is an amazing grandmother and proud and involved and active and just an amazing human being overall. So she wrote a whole bunch of stuff about herself, but I'm not going to say any of it because I just needed to tell you what I feel. And we miss her presence. There will never be anyone like you. And you've left a huge mark on the Cali community and on my heart.
I'll just add something really quick. Windsor Unified School District is very special to me. I was one of the parents involved, founding parents for Cali Calmeca, but also to become a K-12 through district. So I'm very proud. And my own children attended here. And now my granddaughter is going to start TK. So I'll be back volunteering. Thank you.
Right. Congratulations, Hilda. We'd like to welcome Sonia to the podium, please.
I'm shaking, man. This is intense. So, another amazing human being. And I still can't believe she's retiring. I keep going, are you sure? Are you really, really 100% sure? Because you could just stay a little bit longer, right? Amazing teacher, amazing collaborator. I don't know how you do what you do and how you've done it for so long and still keep coming back and doing it, because it's so, from my point of view, so incredibly challenged. She works with the littlest of the littles, TK this year and last year in virtual learning, TK, imagine that, and kinder. She just told me today she started Callie teaching fourth grade. I didn't know that, but she is one of the movers and shakers of Callie. She makes sure stuff gets done, and it gets done right, and it gets done on time, and that her fellow colleagues are recognized, taken care of, and that her students are always, always enveloped in joy and love and happiness. Walking into her classroom is always a joy. I love it. Sometimes you don't even know this. Sometimes I would just go sit in there if I was having a bad day, just so I could feel better. I would sit in that little couch chair thing, and she'd look at me like, what? I'm like, no, I'm just hanging out. I'm good. It's okay. I am going to read this because I think this is cool. One of her most memorable events in her years working for the school district was that when she began teaching at Callie, she realized that many of her students had not seen the Golden Gate Bridge. So she organized this huge field trip where they were going to stay overnight and do all this cool stuff. And she had to go to the school board and get it approved. And the night before it was going to happen, there was a storm projected and the field trip was canceled. But, and this is very typical Sonia, she didn't let that stand in her way. She rescheduled it to the multi-purpose room. And the kids still slept. They spent the night with you, bless your heart. Her husband came, who's a park ranger, and he brought venison, elk, and turkey for dinner. And where's the part about a fake fire? You made it, oh, yes. Parents came to share arrowhead collections and tell stories around an imaginary fire. So really embodies what it means to be an educator. Words of advice, and I'm going to remind you of these, okay? Take your vitamins and listen to your body. Pace yourself. Sonia she'll do it all, always. So pace yourself for the long run. And she's looking forward to enjoying time to play pickleball with her husband, Steve, spending time with her mama, watching her daughter, Stephanie, graduate from grad school, watching her other daughter, Nina, get married, and helping her son, Chris, who's also a former teacher. So you will be very missed, and I am privileged to have worked with you.
So I'll say a few words. I landed in Windsor because my husband's job brought him up this way. But when I started teaching, I was teaching in Southern California in Long Beach, and I was teaching bilingual education. And my dad would always, as we were growing up, tell us that he only made it to third grade in Mexico. That's all the education he got. And that education was vital, very important. It was like drilled. It was important. So I was the first one in the family to graduate from college and became a bilingual teacher. But as I did that, I realized the statistics were showing that my kids were dropping out in middle school and high school. And so it wasn't finishing what I had hoped for. Okay. And when I came up here, I heard about Callie starting an immersion program. And so I was not the beginning, but I was not far behind. And my biggest joy was when the high school was built and our kids were graduating, and they would put a list up and you could highlight the kids that were coming from our school and were graduating. And it was doing what it said it was going to do. And that has been my greatest honor, that Windsor has provided education for kids that may not have had that in other communities, because the immersion program started in Windsor and San Jose. They were the first 2 programs. So we have popped out more kids, high school or college graduates than we even recognize. So thank you for this opportunity. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot knowing that I did what was most dear to my dad's heart, what he had put in our hearts as growing up. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, we have a few from Maddie, so I'm going to welcome Principal Susan Yakich to the podium. And we'll go with Heidi because she's the first on our list. So Heidi Michaels, please, Brett.
And Heidi, unfortunately, is not able to make it this evening. She does send her regrets because she was really hoping to be here, but she had a couple things going on today, one of which is her daughter-in-law graduating from San Francisco this evening. And then also her second grandbaby is on his way any moment. So she's definitely had a few things or a couple things working tonight. But there were some things that she wanted me to read this evening on her behalf. And Heidi Michaels is a second grade teacher at Maddie, and she's worked 17 years in our district. 15 years have been at Maddie, 2 years were at Windsor Creek. And she says one of her fondest memories is she will hold forever in her memory the eagerness of the 7 and 8-year-olds and their excitement about learning. She uses music and art to inspire and motivate her students. And her greatest joy is observing the creative process as students experiment with watercolor, oil, pastels, and acrylic paint. And in her classroom, students created rain sticks and painted butterflies and turtles on large canvases. And for those who follow her, she asks that they take care of themselves while teaching. And she really emphasizes that teachers and their families come first. And she encourages others not to be too proud to ask for help and to remember to smile. And Mrs. Michaels looks forward to supporting Windsor in the arts during her retirement. Oh. She is committed to expanding the arts throughout Sonoma County. That is her passion. And as a grandmother, she looks forward to nurturing a love of reading and creativity in her grandchildren. And she's been on leave for over a month now, and she won't be returning, but we definitely miss her, her spirit and our campus. So we wish her well in her retirement. I don't know if you want to go with Mrs. Gomez, Debbie Gomez. We have Oscar. Oh, Elizabeth is right there too. There we go. Let's go, Oscar. All right, Oscar, and I know he's up. Oscar's here. There we go. So Oscar retired, I guess it was a couple months ago, maybe, and in December, there we go. And he's with his wife tonight as well. And he retired from being our lead custodian over at Maddie. And he wrote some things as well that I wanted to share with everyone. So he said one of his favorite memories while working in Windsor was volunteering at the high school in the culinary arts class, where he demonstrated how to make holiday display bread. And his advice to other employees is to have some kind of hobby to keep them busy. And during retirement, he says he's been enjoying waking up when he wants to, rather than waking up to an alarm clock. And we appreciate Mr. Pacheco's, Oscar's dedication to Windsor, and we wish him all the best in retirement. And you are really missed.
Thanks.
Thank you very, very much. Congratulations. Did you want to say a few words? You love to talk. Thank you.
I love to talk, but not in front of a bunch of people. But it's been a pleasure working for the school district. I know Rich Carnation for many years when I started working at the high school. He's been a great guy, and his wife and everything with the wrestling thing. I enjoyed opening up the doors for them every time they wanted something open. It was fun. I enjoy working with the kids. The hardest thing from retirement was the kids working at Maddie. They were just a loving bunch of kids. When they'd come over, they'd all come over to give me a hug. And just recently I went over to the campus, and they go, "Are you coming back?" I go, "No." And they all came over to give me a hug. And that was a tear-wrenching experience that blew me away, because I didn't realize how the kids liked me. But when I was working at at the high school doing the culinary arts, that was fun because I was making display bread and showing the students how to make Santa Claus heads and wreaths and lobsters and crocodiles and all kinds of stuff. And it was fun. And after a while, some teacher said, "We'd like to come to your class." And at the time when I first started, I was very shy. I would not talk to anybody. And they'd have a big old mirror over the top of me and they'd say, they'd tell the teacher, would say, "Don't talk." And I'm like, oh my God, I wish somebody would talk. This is scary talking in front of all these students. But after a while, it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I miss the Windsor School District. It's a great family. I enjoyed it for 21 years. And I'll miss it. I'll come back once in a while to see all the kids. But thank you very much for the pleasure of working with a bunch of great people.
I'm Brad Freeland, CSEA president. I've got to state, Oscar, this was his second career. He worked at Franco-American Bakery for how many years?
24 years.
24 years. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
you. We have Elizabeth, we have Debbie Gomez. There, Elizabeth's right there. And Elizabeth is here, Elizabeth Ola. All right, Elizabeth Ola is our ELD queen, our ELD guru at Maddie. And we are definitely going to miss you when you retire. And I know Mrs. Parrish will be following in your footsteps. And she's been busy training Mrs. Parrish and showing her the ropes. And so it's been really nice to see the two of you collaborating. And so Miss Ola did write a few things that she wanted me to share. And one of she enjoys attending the accelerated English training and also coaching PD with her colleagues. And her fondest memory is learning grammar with her colleagues and having fun. And she does talk about her love of grammar quite often. And for those who follow in her footsteps, she wants them to remember that ELD is a support service and provides a safe place for learners to practice their language skills. And remember to engage students in talking throughout the day and challenging students. And remember to enjoy students and their families. Mrs. Ola is looking forward to spending time with family and especially her husband and grandchildren. And she has another grandbaby on the way due in August, or was it October? October. And we really are going to miss you, and we appreciate your dedication. And the students that she touches really have excelled and make great progress. And I know they're going to miss you as well, along with her family. And Miss Jenny, our bilingual liaison, is going to miss you greatly as well. So we do wish you well. And it's been a pleasure working with you this year too. You wanted to say a few words? Nope. And we have one more too. Debbie Gomez.
You know, I don't know if everybody knows this, but you don't get your last check unless you talk. So it's just, just kidding. Just a little humor.
I can say a few words, even if we don't have a picture. Is that all right? Demi Gomez retired earlier in the year after many, many years of service to Windsor. And she was not able to make it tonight. I believe she's in Texas with her family, and she's doing quite a lot of traveling. She said she would volunteer when she's in town, but she's rarely in town. So I did just want to recognize her, that she served as a special education paraeducator, and she also was a morning student supervisor for us. Also, though, she always volunteered for countless events, and she is someone that the staff could always rely on to lend a helping hand where and whenever needed. She's very kind, thoughtful, empathetic, and she really kept the needs of the Maddie students at heart. And as I said, she retired earlier this year, and everyone misses her. And she said she'll be spending lots of time with her family and her friends during retirement, and we wish her well. And that's Mrs. Demi Gomez. Thank you.
Let's have Mr. Williams come up. We have Mary Beth Fenton from the high school retiring, and we can invite her to the podium as well. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
We have all these wonderful pictures. We're gonna. All right, so we have Mary Beth Fenton. Oh, come on up here, right here. Mary Beth Fenton. She's that group. Did you have no? When did you graduate? 2002. So you were here in 2000. So you had the famous. Well, I guess you weren't in a mod back then, but so Mary Beth Fenton is part of that original crew coming in. The founders of the school, and basically have just a tight group who have been together for all of those decades. And I think that's why you said, what's your most memorable event? And it's not a single event, but rather the constant work with your colleagues and how to succeed with the students, and many positive interactions with students as they engage in the work and succeed. And for those of, and we are bringing in new science teachers to replace you. Well, not ever replace you, but to be the next generation. And I think the words that you said is just work hard, and, most of your students will appreciate and benefit your efforts. Enjoy the subject and the lessons you create, and the students will too. And then what are you looking forward to? You're looking forward to those lazy mornings, having flexible days, weeks, and months, going to those Giants games, national parks trips, and your hobbies. So Mary Beth, would you like to say?
No, thank you.
No, she wouldn't. Okay. So congratulations to Mary Beth.
Thank you.
And then next, I'd like to bring up Kathy Funkhauser. And if we could all sing "We Bring the Funk" as she walks up. You got to have that funk. Come on. So I think a lot of people, when they think about attendance, they forget the full title is attendance and welfare. And Kathy really was focused on the welfare of the students and families at Windsor High School. Since 2000, she's been both a librarian and an attendance and welfare clerk. And so thinking about her most memorable times is when you see the students, the alumni coming back. And a lot of times, I think you've had multiple generations, quite a few multiple generations coming back through the high school, and that they now have a career and a family. And just to be able to see how they turned out. Now, when when Kathy introduced herself, she said, "I'm Kathy Funkhauser, and this is my last year." Which is great to hear when you're new to a site. But the benefit is because you work so closely next to your co-attendance and welfare person, that we had 1 year to really focus on training the new person. So the words of advice you're going to give Susan, we're going to have these stenciled in her office. It's to remember to treat students and parents with respect, and to be patient, even when you have when you're very frustrated parent to deal with. And I'm sure, if students are coming in late, there's always kind of symptoms behind that. And then Kathy was always great in 2 languages to be able to work with the families and kind of get to the heart of what's going on and get those kids in. And then what are you looking forward to? Traveling and spending more time with your kids and grandkids. So congratulations on your retirement. Want to say anything? She doesn't want to say anything either. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'd like to welcome Amy Ziegler to the podium to represent the middle school.
Thank you, Amy Ziegler, principal at Windsor Middle School. And I know there's not a slide.
I'm not retiring. The retiree from my site is Donna Tom. She's one of our math teachers, and I knew Donna from a few years ago, some years ago, when our daughters were in high school. They were friends, and so I met Donna and her husband when our children were friends. And several years ago, I came to one of the district's opening receptions, and Donna was there. And I was thrilled to see that she had joined the district as a teacher. At the time, she was teaching multiple subjects. She was in one of our elementary schools, and then she became a math teacher. And we need talented math teachers, and Donna Tom is a very talented teacher. She's somebody who goes the extra mile for students. She's very concerned about their welfare and providing supports for them above and beyond. And this also leads to having a great relationship with students. And she was one of the first teachers who pointed out to me how difficult returning with masks on has been in trying to establish a relationship with students, not being able to have them see you smile at them, and not being able to see the student and their frustration. And she would always want to respond to students and make sure that they were being seen. So I know, she just has that heart for the students. She's a very versatile educator with both her multiple subject and her math credential. And if you look in Architectural Digest, her classroom is the epitome of a photo that would be there. Very meticulous, very organized. She is helpful to her colleagues, and she's been one of our teachers this year who has been very strong in a collaborative arrangement with having multiple teachers in the classroom and serving students in a very unique way. Her friends know that she has an incredible sense of humor. I think Brian Williams once described it as wicked. And she's also an excellent ping pong player. So we wish her well in her retirement. I know she's very much looking forward to spending more time with her family.
Okay, so we have a few more that are classified employees throughout the district. I would like to ask Brad to come up and help me out a little bit, if he would. And just so everybody knows, every retiree was given an opportunity to submit a questionnaire and photos for the slideshow and to RSVP back for this ceremony this evening. So some chose not to do so, and that's why they may not be represented in the slides. And you guys will have to forgive me. I've only been in the district for 10 months. And so some of the folks I do not know and haven't had the pleasure of meeting. So Lloyd Yandell. Lloyd was a campus supervisor. I do know that. Lloyd is not here with us tonight. Brad, would you like to speak a little bit about Lloyd?
Lloyd Yandell has volunteered in many, many aspects as a student advisor, but he's also done tutoring in his neighborhood for kids. He's done projects like building desks for families that didn't have them and delivered them to their homes. He's an amazing individual. He has been a very great part of this district. His daughter was also a teacher here and a student advisor, and I forget the other position she held. So bus driver. Okay. No, Lloyd, he'll be missed. So.
And we have Cynthia Tostado. We're also celebrating this evening. Cynthia here this evening? No? Okay. Would you like to say a few words, Brad? Thank you.
I didn't know Cynthia that well, but she's been a bus driver for a very, very long time. And she was always active in making sure the kids got not only to school, but that they had a good time on their trip. So.
Thank you. Austin, would you like to say anything on behalf of Cynthia? Okay, thank you. And then Diane Carrier. Is Diane here this evening with us? No? Okay. Thank you, Brad.
Diane Carrier was a food service worker over at Brooks Elementary. She was there when I went to Brooks as a custodian. I had to clarify that. She was a fixture for so many years, and the kids absolutely loved her. She left, I think, last year. Yeah, right at the, anyway, she was fabulous, and like all of our classified staff, I mean, they go above and beyond, which all of you know, but they care deeply about the students and the staff of Windsor Unified School District. So, thank you.
And then we had Debbie Burke as well this evening. So Debbie was a classified employee as well. And remind me, what was her position? I'm sorry? Medi-Cal billing. Okay. I know she does a lot. I know we've been really worried about replacing her. And that position has evolved over many years to take on more than what a health tech might do. And so I know she will be missed greatly. Deborah Ryan knows her very well, and we've been working to try to fill those shoes moving forward. So again, I just want to thank everybody who participated this evening. Thank you for your service, retirees. I can speak to only my time here in Windsor, and it is an amazing community, an amazing family. We've got a great group of people that we work with and serve, and I can't say enough about you all in the time that I've had a chance and had the pleasure to get to know you. And thank you to Brad for helping to put together the slideshow tonight, and everybody that helped to organize the party and celebration outside. Okay, and I'd like to thank our union labor partners and Pete and Brad for helping with the retiree honorees this evening as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. The board would like to say a couple things, and then after we do, we're gonna take a 5-minute break or whatever, because there's a bunch of us who would like to have a second or two to say thank you personally to a bunch of you all, because we don't know when we'll see you next, because you all look kind of happy. So, and anyhow, so any of our trustees would like to start something off?
I'll go first. It's been interesting serving on the board after having grown up here and gone through our school system, K through 12, and then moving back. And because every year when we see retirees, I see people leaving who I grew up with. So I just wanted to quickly say to Hilda, who, supported me in running for school board, and Fig, who's not here, who was my volleyball coach when I was in 7th grade, and has such close connections with all of his students, including my daughter, who had the pleasure of having him. And I'm sorry that I'm calling people out, specifically Miss Risky, who has been, part of Cali for so long, and I remember you from when I was a student. And then, of course, Sam, who has been a part of just... You have you're very distinctive. So, we've always known you, even since we were very little. But really, to everyone who's retiring, I think we are pretty close-knit. Even though we're getting bigger as a community, we're still a small community. And, we all have memories going back so far with everyone. And so you will be dearly missed.
So I'll put on my teacher hat. I too teach, and I've doing my 30th year this year, so I can understand the excitement you all feel as you're walking away from such a great place to work and looking to your future. I still have several more years or many more years to go. But it's exciting to see that you all had such an impact on your students and your school. And that's what I strive to do most every day. And I know you all feel the same way. Those little connections you make, you plant the seeds, you watch the tree grow. And we look forward to hearing more about you and what you've done in the next coming years. And please come back and share some of those things, or as many of you mentioned, maybe a little volunteer here and there, or Read Across America Day, or whatever it may be that you want to get involved in. We'd love to see you, and your peers would love to see you as well. So thanks again for all the years of service you've given to the district, and you deserve some time to yourselves to do the fun stuff that you didn't get a chance to do. I know one of my goals is to see the fall colors, because we can never leave in September or October. So those kind of things are magical if you can make those things happen. So enjoy.
I would also like to say thank you for everybody who's retiring, and I also wanted to specifically say thank you to Mrs. Fritz. She was my 4th grade social studies teacher, and one of the things that I remember was going to the Sacramento field trip, the California field trip, and just thank you for all of the teachers and classified staff. And congratulations on your retirement. And I hope that whatever you do after your work, I hope that it'll be good for you. And thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
I'll just be very quick, but I just wanted to say that I appreciate all of the teachers that are retiring. Thank you so much for all that you have done for our students and how much you have given to them. And I especially want to call out the teachers from Cali, just because I also am a product of Cali, and my mom worked at Cali for about close to 15 years. She's Josefa Lopez, and I'm sure many of you know her or knew her. But I just really want to give special recognition to the teachers of Cali because it is a bilingual school. I realize it's twice the work because you're teaching our kids to think in 2 different languages and see the world, with 2 different lenses, right? So I just so appreciate that. I remember my daughter coming home and saying, I don't know how Mr. Fig has so much patience. He just has so much patience. And the other thing that she said about him is he made my year really, really special because I couldn't have gotten through my year without Mr. Fig. So special acknowledgement for Mr. Fig.
I was struck how we're maybe becoming a mature district now that we've unified with Hilda and Sonia there from the beginning with Callie, right, which was a groundbreaking program, and with Mary Beth and Kathy being there once we put together a unified high school. I don't know if either of you were there helping walk across the stage when that first one happened at Luther Burbank Center, but you've been there since there was bricks and mortar there, and I was really struck by that. We have thousands and thousands of children are affected because of you. So thank you very, very much for that.
I had a couple thoughts when I'm looking at all these pictures, and one was, man, all these folks look very young and they're retiring. And then I had to remind myself that I was prematurely gray. So I'm thinking, wow, I got to think about maybe retiring someday too, because you're talking about grandkids and I got some of them. And I just really what I was thinking about mostly was how many of the people that are retiring I actually know. And I've been here for quite a while. And I just, when Oscar came up, I started to get a little, I'm not great. I hate separation. I like the families to just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And when people kind of take off and they go and do their own thing, you just go, man, it's just a little something in your life, one little sparkle, one little light just kind of is not in that little Christmas, the lights that go around your house and whatever. And so when people retire, you go, man, that's just one little light that I'm probably not going to get to see shining quite as often. And so I have a sentimental warm spot for the custodians. For 25 years, I'd come to the school every day after school. And, most of the kids, they see the school and the teachers see the school in the morning when it's been all cleaned up. And it looks really good after all the custodians went through and took care of yesterday's activities. And so I'd get to the school at the end of the day when I'd get to see the remains of the activities, and all the custodians are there and they're cleaning it up and stuff, and they'd have to open rooms for us and they'd help us with whatever activities we had. And almost to a T over the last 25, 30 years, always happy, always smiling, always helpful. And so it's in that spirit and that attitude, not with just the custodians, but just with everybody involved with education here in Windsor. It's what's made part of our town, just what's so unique and what's so cool about our place. And so to those, like all the rest of us trustees, we appreciate all the years of service. To the teachers, we appreciate you guys bringing those extra supplies and things that you bring from home to help make the kids have that extra special day. And to everybody that's given everything they have to make these kids have the best life growing up that they could possibly have. We appreciate you all. And with that, I just want to let you know, we're going to take a little quick 5-minute break real quick so we can say hi real quick and warm up because it's freezing in here. So we'll take a 5-minute break.
Oh.
There we go. All right, I'd like to welcome you all back and reopen the meeting. We're going to go to 3.3, which is public. Now, the agenda, it's mislabeled a little bit. So it's 3.3. It's public comment on consent items and non-agendized session items. So if anybody has any comments, public comments that's not on the agenda or not on a consent item, this is the time to do it. Let me just read this real quick. So it says, any person may address the board on any consent item or any items not listed on the agenda pursuant to the Brown Act. During the period, the board is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. We ask that the public comment be spoken to the microphone from the podium in accordance with the board policy 9323. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask the additional person speak only if they have something new to add. So with that, is there anybody that would like to speak on anything that is not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to 3.4, report from student board member Kai Heflin.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having my presentation up right there. So my name is Kai Heflin. I'm the student board member for the Windsor Unified School District. This is the regular board meeting for May 19th. And if you go into the next slide, please. So I just have a couple of things I would like to get an update on. There's something else I want to further talk about. So just as another reminder, next week on Thursday, the 26th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Windsor High School Theater, the Poly Class Foundation and in accordance with the Windsor Police Department, they're at the high school theater there. There will be a free social media safety presentation that's open to the public. And for more information, and especially there are flyers, and there's a Spanish and English flyers on there. And on those flyers, that has information on reserving the seats there. And that can be found on the Windsor Police Department Facebook. And this is just another update regarding the student board member process for next year's student board member for the next 2022 to 2023 academic year. So we had a total of 3 applications, and next we are going to be reviewing voting and the other processes that go along with that, and then we'll have a determination on who the next student board member will be at a later date. And so as this will be my last meeting or my last official presentation as the student board member for this year, I wanted to let the other board members know and everybody on how much that this meant to me, and also the experience that I gained out of it, especially with joint meetings with the town council and special board meetings. I know we've met at the conference, the district office, and also I remember one time we went to Roanoke Park and with their school district there, and meeting other student board members at the San Diego conference. That was such a great experience, and I also got to know my school and how my school works. And I got to know my school district better, and especially as a future career goal in law enforcement, I know that public speaking and talking to people is a great skill, and I sharpened my skills in those, and I also gained the public speaking skill. I remember the first couple of times that I presented, or the first few times actually, that I would give my student board member report, my voice would be a little bit shaky, and my arms would be a little bit shaking a little bit, and I would stutter a lot. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I got passed through it a little bit more, and so I'm now able to speak more, like this. And I'm, instead of just looking down on a piece of paper, maybe I'm looking up and looking people as I'm talking. So that's some experiences that I got through here, and so thank you for that, and thank you for providing me this. And I really enjoyed being a student board member. And I gained so much out of it. And I just wanted to say thank you. And also thank you for the gifts. This pen, this wooden pen is super amazing. The banner, and also this sweatshirt or this hoodie right here. On orientation, I'm gonna wear it. And I know my mother, she loves to take pictures. And I'm gonna send you guys a picture of me wearing that orientation there. And so thank you guys very much for working with me. And thank you, Superintendent Decker, for working with me as well. This was a great time and pleasure. And thank you, Austin, Lisa, and Chris. Thank you. And also thank you for the staff and teachers also. Thank you.
Kai, you should thank Lisa. She was able to turn that air conditioner down. And if not, I think that the hoodie that your gift might have got taken back. So we were all freezing up here. So thanks. After the meeting, I told her I'd give her $1 if she could turn that air conditioner off. Anyhow, Kai, again, thank you. And you've added a lot to this board, and you're going to do some amazing things down the future, right? We all know it. Thanks. Let's go to 3.5 Superintendent's Report.
Yes, so first, to start off, I'd like to recognize some people that are here. The exec board for WDEA has done a lot of really good work, and we've got 3 members here with us today. So Pete Stefanisco, Patty Durth, Shannon Johnson, they're stepping down after having done how many years? I'd like to know. How many years, Pete? How many, Patty? Shannon? Oh, just 6. But I just want to say they're really good advocates for the teachers that they represent. They're great partners. We've done a lot of really good work and thought partnering. I really appreciate the relationship that we've built in the short time I've been here. You will definitely all be missed for the way that you carry yourself and represent the teachers. So thank you. On that note, we had a couple sessions recently. And 2 of the things that we focused on and took some time, we were able to add a teacher at Maddie to lower our TK and kinder class sizes. We're trying to stick to 20 or under is our goal. And we were able to do that through negotiations. And then we also spent a lot of time working through our extra duty stipend schedule and our coaches stipend. So we invested actually, we had approved $80,000 in the TA, and we ended up spending $120,000 because that's what was necessary. And we did some good work there. Csea, I won't steal your thunder, Brad, so I'll let it be. You can come up and talk about that here in a minute. But I do want to touch on some of the work that we're doing that we don't talk about a lot is multi-tiered systems of support. We are part of a North Sonoma County consortium with Healdsburg, Mark West, Pioneer Olivet, ourselves, and we work with Judy Elliott, who is the former Chief Academic Officer for LA Unified. Multi-tiered systems of support is really how do you support students to be successful? That's the easiest way to describe it. And we're all trying to work together to identify where our weaknesses as a consortium are, shore up those weaknesses, and then hopefully, move forward with training of staff and really doing good work, okay, putting systems in place. So I just wanted to bring it up because I think we spent a lot of time over the past few weeks together working through this, and there will be more that comes once we get to the stage where we're involving more staff. Right now, it's just doing an assessment, which mostly involves management, and then we'll get to the training later. And man, there was a cool event today. We had the Special Olympics at the high school, and it's my first time, it's my first time getting to see what we do for our retirees, first time getting to see what we do for those Special Olympics. And man, I don't know if you read Bucket Fillers, but it filled my bucket, boy. It was a pretty amazing event, and I look forward to being there every single year and seeing our athletes. So that's my update for this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. If we can, what's that? Yeah, now we would like to move to Staff Association reports. Brad or Pete? Okay. Brad?
Tried to get Pete to go first. Wow, it's been a process that we've been through. I have to first extend my thanks.
He's coming out to help with the mic or something.
It's on, showing up. It was on, okay. Maybe I turned it off. And I'm a custodian. I'm supposed to know how to do this stuff. I want to personally thank Austin and Jeremy for being at our chapter meeting last night. We had 101 people in attendance that could vote. And I don't know how many kids, because many people said, well, I have nobody to take care of my kids. I said, bring them. We're professionals. We can deal with kids. So we had a very good turnout. Our TA passed. It was not unanimous, but it was really, really close to unanimous. So that's awesome to report. But I don't think it would have happened without Jeremy and Austin being there to help answer questions. We also learned something very specific out of that. We need to do a better job partnering with the district so that they can educate our members on how the budget and this process works. So we definitely will move forward in that arena where we have someone at the school, at our chapter meeting, to be able to educate our members on how that goes. I also want to thank all of you for recognizing that next week is Classified School Employees Week. I put a button on each one of your places. So please, when you're going around the district, make sure you recognize the classified people. A lot of times they don't feel recognized. And so I know you know how much they do. So I just want to thank you for your support and have a great evening.
Thanks, Brad. Pete? Anything to add, or? I mean, you have to start to cherish these, Pete, because, you know.
All right, Pete Stefanisco, WDA President. Yes, this will probably be my last board meeting for a while, and it's been quite a ride. I've spent a lot of time in this chamber working with many different board members. I think I counted you're the 7th superintendent I think I've worked with in this row, without a doubt. Don't let Harrington hear that. But it's been with Patty and Dana and Shannon this year. Over the last couple of years, we've gone through a lot with COVID, and we had to negotiate things we didn't ever think we'd have to negotiate. And so I appreciate all the work that's gone. I appreciate the board's patience and support for this tentative agreement and pushing us forward. And so I wish the new exec board nothing but success, and we'll just keep moving forward. The retirees remind us that things do change and people do move on. And so here we are. But thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
So for Pete and Brad and your team, and a lot of times, we see Brad, I've had the opportunity to go over and eat pizza with the CEA meetings, and that's always fun. And Pete, comes as the face frequently, but for Patty and Dana and Shannon, thank you for your work on that. We've mentioned when Kai was down in the San Diego School Board Conference, and when we were reflecting on that and with the retirees and just you two both coming up, I am stunned when we go to those things because we were reminded about how well we do our best to communicate here. And that is not the norm in many places, and how we're fortunate. And that happens only because we work hard to cultivate it. And so for those of you who are in those leadership roles, helping remind us, a number of you communicate very regularly with us, and that's very helpful. I just want to thank you and acknowledge that. I know it's an up and down, and there's a certain politics of it, and we get that, but our district would not be as strong if we did not have the candid and courageous conversations, the transparency that we have with our labor groups. And so thank you very much for that. For those of you who are leading in the trenches, this would be a very different district if we didn't have that.
All right. Thank you, Bill. All righty. Anybody else? Okay. We're going to move on to 3.7. Well, we're only at 3.7. Board of Trustees report. Is there anything that anybody wants to say? Actually, I'm going to jump in first. I would like to report that some more ADA was recognized on May the 17th. Colby Carnation was born, my first granddaughter. So we finally got a little princess in the family. So my oldest son, Joe, and his daughter, my daughter-in-law, Morgan, just had a little baby girl. It's kind of funny. I didn't think about it, but I posted on Facebook and a bunch of people have posted back. So they said, her name's Colby. And I go, yes. And, and her older brother's name is Jack. And I go, yes. And so, yes, we now have Colby and Jack Carnation. So anyhow, just wanted to say I have another grandpa. Grandpa again, I meant. So anyhow.
I'll add a quick comment. One of the other jobs I do is I'm a junior high track coach, and we had the finals about a week ago. And the same league that I coach in is part of the league that Cali is involved with. And this year, Cali had their largest team ever, and they won their first pennant from the 9-school league for the 8th grade boys track team. So Christine Behrens and her coaching staff and all the 8th grade boys from Cali, we need to give them a little kudos. If you see any of them at graduation or something, we can give some high fives and things like that. So great job for them, and they were very pleased and proud. They'll be getting their banner next week. I'll make sure that we share that with you guys at some point, but it'll be the first North Valley League banner to go up in the Cali gym. So good news. Yeah.
I'll just kind of say a little personal note. So some of you know I had surgery a few weeks ago, and I'm doing a lot better. But if you see me like doing any weird arm exercises or stretching or standing up, that's why, as I'm just taking it easy. This is actually my first night back from leave. So I've been gone for about 4 weeks. And super happy to be back, super happy to still be on the school board. I love this group. You know, we refer to ourselves as a team. And we really operate that way. So just glad to be here and happy to be at the meeting. And if you see me doing anything weird, I'm just stretching out.
Yep. All righty. We're going to move on to the consent items. I'm going to turn this over to Trustee Adams.
Yep. I would make a motion to our fellow board members for approval of consent items 4.1 through 4.15. I'm not aware of any conflicts or any requests to move any of them off of consent. Unless there is, again, I would move for consent between 4.1 and 4.15 as listed on the agenda.
I will second that motion. I just have a question on 4.10. So it's no longer that's no longer pending. Is that right? It's approved?
We're approving ours.
That's correct. We approve our end, they approve their end, and then it's, so they've already approved, but it hadn't been voted on before the board agenda was created.
Got it. Right. But it is approved though, right? Yep. So yeah, I second it with that clarification as well.
Okay. Any public comment?
Is there any public comment on any consent items? Oh, she already asked that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Jeremy, if you can ask for a vote.
Oh,
actually, I'm sorry,
don't
there's
roll
not a
call. Yeah.
resolution. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, passes 5-0 and 1. All right, thank you. All righty, now moving on to 5. Remember, we're going to move to 5. We're going to go with 5.2 first. Discussion of Windsor High School extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Presentation will be presented to the board by Amy Whiteley.
Oh, I think, oh, yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate being able to do my presentation at the end of the school year. Congratulations to Kai. I think like all of us that are here, celebrating students is so important. And so I'm very proud of your accomplishments and good luck next year. I often feel that when I present that I am doing a celebration, a presentation of celebration, just because I'm speaking about all that we're accomplishing at Windsor High School. To begin though, just as a review of the Associated Student Body representatives, we have our officers listed, as well as some of the specialty positions that we have at Windsor High School that I'm really proud of. Our campus connections officers, public relations, and then historian, Junior Outreach Ambassador is specifically for the work that we do within the WUSD school district, the K through 8 outreach, and then our Spirit officers as well. So as I go through and showcase, I'd be happy if you wanted to stop me and ask any questions about some of the events that we've actually been able to pull off this year, which has been pretty amazing. So to begin, our ASB officers, they conduct what we call Senate Forum. It's once per grading period, and we have representatives from all of our corps that come to our Senate Forum. It used to be that we had 1 per corps that was invited and selected. We now have 3 per corps so that we have a better representation, and so that all of those students can engage their corps mates in their particular rotation after they've come to our Senate Forum. And this is where our information is exchanged. We ask for their opinion. We ask for them to go back to their corps so that we're able to connect with the student body. Even though we only have a board of 8 ASB officers, we're getting that information from the general student body. So to start off, our ASB Campus Connections officer, we implemented that because it was really important. This was a handful of years ago to work to connect our students within our campus. And this is just a photo collage of our club carnivals. And we've been able to get our students out, keep them involved. As we went through COVID, we actually experienced an increase in our clubs, I think because our kids were super interested in being involved. And I was really curious to see how it would go this year. We actually were able to add 2 new clubs this year as well. Chess was one of them, some generous donations from our community to drop those chess boards off at the high school. I don't know if you saw that activity on Facebook at the beginning of the school year. And so that was pretty great. We have a multicultural club that was added as well. We're working on some large events for next year. And so that's pretty exciting. Also, our Jaguar Kickoff is listed. This was a big event we did for the first time this school year where it was sort of in place of a rally because we weren't able to do an indoor rally. And we brought our coaches, athletes, music, games, 2 food trucks, all of our clubs out. And it was a really nice event. And we're hoping to do this at the beginning of the school year as well. So as we kind of continue going through our ASB officers, these are sort of our spirit officers. We have our JAGI Spirit Advisor, who is a liaison for our athletics, who will participate with boosters, as well as our rally commissioners, and our ASB historian is tasked with documenting all of the events that we put on through the leadership program. This was new this year. We were able to create the senior parking lot spots. And I know that students have pushed and wanted this over the years, and we were able to execute it. It was a fundraiser, and we also had scholarships, and we did not limit the parking spots as well. We wanted to make sure we had equal access for everybody. I think we ended up selling or allotting 82 seniors who have their own spot, or they chose to share a spot if they're carpooling or they have opposite schedules with a friend. So this was a really great event that we did at the beginning of the year, and it was really a great community building event for all of the seniors, especially since we were back on campus. This was our homecoming, and we had a great homecoming spirit week. Really fantastic to be able to have the game and the school spirit, and the students were very enthusiastic and motivated. And there's our outdoor dance, and of course it was very controversial. It did rain on us, and it was a question as to whether or not it was a go or it wasn't a go. And as you know, there's always concern from both camps if we cancel or if we didn't. And I was actually at the game, of course, and I said, we're thinking about canceling. The whole crowd, including the parents, like, no, don't cancel the game. I said, are you sure? And they're all, enthusiastic. So we got a lot of community support too, and parents were able to contribute pop-ups, and it was quite an experience. I'm sure the students will never forget it. We love to have our athletes out participating in non-traditional ways. And so we have our Lady Jag Bowl, which we started a few years back. We have our refs that continue to support us year after year. So thank you for that. And this was the third year that we had our Powder Puff volleyball, and that was really fun. And so that's junior boys versus senior boys, and we did a tournament style, so we had multiple teams. And both of these are the only leadership fundraisers that we have. And so we're able to, of course, invite the community, and it's quite fun. Yes.
So not commenting on the Stephanie didn't wear a hat, but we had talked about maybe expanding to have freshmen and sophomores and juniors and seniors and have to. Has the leadership team talked about that? And do you think that might be possible to expand that in the fall?
Every year we talk about it. And this year I was very set that that's what we were going to do because that is my desire as well.
Yeah.
And they were able to create a pretty decent argument as to why it should just be juniors and seniors this year. And I did say that I would allow that to happen. However, all of the underclassmen, this is the seniors that were very passionate about this, they all are aware that we will have a JV game next year.
Cool.
So we will have freshmen versus sophomores and then juniors versus seniors. So we did make that compromise. The seniors seem to be very, very passionate about not allowing others to participate.
That allows 4 of us to dress up in zebra stripes too. That's cool.
That's right.
Those
That's right.
vertical stripes are slimming, Bill, so that's good.
So other events, one thing that our campus connections officers, we are connecting our campus. We go beyond what other leadership programs do in our area. I'm in contact with other student or activities directors, and we do things that are a little bit different. And one of the things that I love to do is to support other programs. And I love to coordinate others. I belong to the Arts at Large department. Product 22 is something, it's the arts display program of just their products, and they do it every year. And so, of course, this was 22. However, we expanded and we piggybacked it with our nighttime homecoming rally. We had a schedule of events. We had not only did we do products, but we had demonstrations. And so we had every CTE program out and available so that families could go around. They saw welding demonstrations. We had our robotics teacher out. Of course, our music was performing, our visual arts, culinary, etc. And it was a pretty fantastic event. And my leadership students were there to give tours. And then, of course, we culminated in the rally, which a benefit of having a nighttime rally is was open to the community. And part of what I like to do for my own standards within the leadership program is that we have events that are for the community, not just for our students on campus. This piggybacks with what Superintendent Decker was mentioning. We were supporting the Special Olympics today, and we have done so in the past as well. And I think that's a really unique collaboration between all of our programs. And it's usually the leadership students that we select to speak and to be the MC and give the welcome. And so this year it was really nice because we had students that are juniors who are in the leadership program that did not participate in this because of COVID. And so it was really great for them to be out. This was our prom. We were able to have prom. We decided long prior to restrictions lifting for COVID that we would still have it outside. Our dancing was outside. We wanted to be very cautious, but we had the Mary Agatha Firth Center. So we were able to offer a lot to our students on the inside if they chose. And we had a huge turnout, which was pretty fantastic. The nighttime rally you can see on the bottom left was a neon rally 2 nights prior. And we had our prom spirit week. And one thing we wanted to do, we made it really special for all of the seniors, is we sent carnations around to every single senior girl in class with a special invitation so that we knew that we were announcing to them and prom was happening, and we wanted to recognize that it was such a big deal since it hadn't in a couple of years.
And they loved it too, didn't they?
They did. They did. It was really fantastic. And those are all my juniors. Of course, we didn't have any seniors allowed to work on the project. And so it was really fun. It was a really, really neat thing. And they felt really great about doing this for the senior class.
Could you go back? I appreciated the social media pictures that we got.
But how do I go back?
Can you go back one more?
2 more.
Back to the
I
prom.
went the
That
wrong
one.
direction.
That stalwart lass who is wearing the apple juice dress, which is just amazing. But I wondered, those 2 folks, acrobats on stilts, what is the story with those folks? Because I saw a couple pictures as they were contorting about, and what an amazing thing. I didn't know there was such performers here in Sonoma County. What can you tell us about them?
So this is a company called Circosphere, and I had hired them, I believe, in 2018. And at the time, our prom theme was Under the Big Top. And so they are very thematic. Depending on what you're doing, they will have people dress accordingly. And so we had stilt walkers at that time and acrobatics and different things. And so we actually decided we had a credit with them. They had been hired for 2020 and we rolled that over, and this is our garden theme. And so I was in contact with them and they said that that worked for them. And so we chose to go ahead with the stilt walkers. Some of the students were a little suspicious of them and not quite sure what the point was. And it was supposed to just to create this ambiance, and the sound actually within the Firth Center, we had like water and chirping crickets and stuff. There was no music being played inside. So it was really a lot of conversation was happening with some sort of ambient noise with the garden sounds, but that was just supposed to all go together.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thanks.
And again, and this is Circosphere. They're out of the Bay Area. This is our partnerships. Just like I was mentioning earlier, I like to support other programs on our campus. I feel that we're so much more than just school spirit for students. And so working with, of course, our athletics, yearbook, broadcast journalism, and then the arts program as well. But we did do intramural sports, and I oversaw that with my students executing that in February, March, and April. And that was really nice to be able to bring that back. There are those infamous ref shirts again. So that was pretty fantastic. And we had a lot of students interested coming in to watch and to play. This position is our junior outreach because we pride ourselves also in expanding beyond Windsor High School into our younger schools. Normally, we would be doing multiple field trips with the corresponding leadership classes. In the past, we've been successful doing that. This year, we were just kind of getting up and running. The last few years, though, at Windsor Middle and at Cali, they have not had leadership classes. And so we're finding it to be much more difficult to connect. They'll have clubs. We did go down to Windsor Middle prior to this event, which was 8th grade orientation, and met with their club. There were only 8 kids maybe. So it's been a little bit challenging because my students are really eager to teach and to mentor, which I think is pretty fantastic. We happen to have a field trip tomorrow to Cali. One of the things I focus on is the 8th grade transition to Windsor High School. So we're actually able to go into all of the science classes tomorrow at Cali. And I'm taking 2 of my programs. I'm taking our leadership students as well as our circle keepers. And we're doing a combined event, which is we're going to hit every single 8th grader tomorrow, which is pretty amazing. We couldn't get that scheduled with Windsor Middle just due to major conflicts. But so that is something that I pride our program with, and our 8th grade orientation was expanded this year. Normally we would have students one day. We actually had them 3 days. And so we had smaller groups each day. So 120 students each time. And that allowed for us to, you can see we have circles in the gym on the floor. They were making some connections. We ran circles. We did a lot of question answer, a lot of connection for them. And we also really expanded their exposure to our electives. So again, similar to Product 22, they went around into each of our elective programs and they got to participate. And it was so cool. And I went into Miss Jones' class, her art class, and she had something for them to do. She had specific paper with project. They each had 10 minutes in each of the electives. And because we had smaller groups and expanded over 3 days, we, I think, really hit home. Those teachers from each of those programs were letting me know that this was different. Students felt more connected, and I'm hoping we can continue this. Again, though, my work towards that 8th grade transition, I think, is really significant. This is the work that we do beyond Windsor High School and beyond Windsor Unified. We have ASB Public Relations Officers. We have 2. They're both Park and Rec Youth Commissioners. We have one that will be returning. It'll be his 2nd year, Andrew. We have a new one who's joining. So we have 2 that represent Windsor High School with the Parks and Rec. And that's pretty amazing. They're a fantastic partner for us. We work with them frequently. We use their facilities, and we try to participate in their events. Some of our goals this year is because we have 2 ASB officers. One of them, their goal is to go to more town events. The other one's goal is to bring the town to Windsor High School more frequently. And so these are just some things that we have done. Of course, the Charlie Brown Christmas Tree Grove. And this is my 9-10 leadership class. And it was pretty fun for them to be able to actually have a field trip and to be back in person. And that was really nice. And that's the end. Do you have any questions? I love this photo. I think it's so fantastic.
We all do. It reminds us of when we could jump like that.
Any questions?
I don't have questions. I just wanted to thank you for everything you do, because every time you go through the presentation, I like think about your calendar and I'm like thinking about your to-do list and everything that you manage. And we're just lucky to have someone like you in this role who can manage all of those things, because it's a lot of work. So thank you.
Thank you. But
Amy.
my calendar is my favorite thing. I have two. We have August. We
Well,
already have
that's why you
August up.
excel at this.
Yeah,
because,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. And I have some really amazing students who also love things like that. And we, of course, we have a variety of interests, but thank you. I appreciate that.
I know that Amy and Sharon aren't here, and I'm glad that you're taking that trip, but on something to think about, just to maybe park with you and the superintendent, is really figuring out how we can kickstart your feeder programs for the leadership program and those opportunities at Kelly in the middle school. I don't think that was an intentional act to have those atrophy as other things were being done, but I think we need to revisit that and make sure that we are infusing that. So, yeah, I think, and if there's resources or something that needs to come from here, I think would be very helpful for that. But I think it may just be, carving that prospect. I can remember a number of years ago where there were events at the town green, and you had even deeper than eighth graders. I remember I first met Savannah there. I think she was a precocious fifth grader or sixth grader who's now graduating this year. So yeah, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning that. So normally, historically, when we've had leadership classes at both of the middle schools, we would have about 3 field trips a year with each. But then we would expand. We would have what we call the Junior Jaguar Leadership Conference, again, using the town facilities on the town green. And we would invite all of the students all the way from Maddie on up. And they would select who they wanted to bring. Brooks, of course, is a great candidate because they do have their student council. And we would get those students. And our agenda and our program was designed based on their age. And so sometimes the younger ones wouldn't stay as long. And once they would go back to their schools, and we were able to expand a little further as to what we were teaching them. But it was always our hope. And our homecoming parade as well, we try to increase the participation of all the younger students as well.
Likewise, I think I'm like most everybody else. When they look back at their school time, they might remember 1 or 2 significant moments from a significant teacher at a significant moment on a particular subject. But they remember the extracurricular, the co-curricular activities, the dances, the events, the band, all those different things. Those things seem to be the things that just kind of really, I've been at a lot of class reunions, and the things that keep coming up and the things that people remember. And so many people are going to have great memories to look back on fondly. And it's because of the efforts of you and the folks that help you. And so we thank you. And they appreciate it. They don't even know yet. But as they get older, they will appreciate you more and more and more as time goes on. So thank you.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and now we're going to, our next item will be item 5.1, review, discuss the end report for the 2021-22 Lcap Actions and Services with Lisa Saxon, our Director of Education.
Who's officially now the new superintendent in the Rice School District as of what, an hour ago?
About that. Yep.
So actually, it's, congratulations, Lisa.
Thank you. All right, so LCAP annual update. Rich, this is going to be a review for you, so you can.
It's all
play
good.
along.
I brought it in color too.
All right, very good. So as you'll recall, one of the sources of data that we unpack annually is to take a look at the current year's LCAP and reflect upon all of the actions and services to see the degree to which we were able to get them off the ground, to implement them or not. And if not, why not? So here we go. So just as a reminder, we have 4 overarching current goals in the LCAP. The first one related specifically to the California Common Core state standards. Under that goal, currently there are 17 actions and services that support that goal. 13 of the 17 maintained, meaning we carried them from last year. Well, not last year's LCAP. We didn't have an LCAP last year, but the year before that, the prior LCAP, or increasing services, and I'll break those down in some future slides. The 4 of the 17 were not implemented. I won't go item by item. You can see them in front of you, but basically the overarching theme is that it was due to a lack of personnel that we were not able to get them off the ground. All right, so for maintaining common assessments and data team meetings continued. We'll continue to grow in that area, but there are some in place. In addition to that, middle school and high school teachers being trained on the CPM math curriculum. Standards-based grading is an increase of services this year. We were able to launch a cohort under the expertise of Kristen Perrell, who is currently a science teacher at Windsor High School, but also a standards-based grading guru. And she has trained one cohort at Windsor High School, and then we started a new cohort in April that will span, we've had 2 release days, and then we'll have 4 more days in June. All of those teachers have committed to launching standards-based grading in the fall with their students. And in a nutshell, it's helping to shift from traditional grading practices, which are sometimes thought of as toxic, in that they don't necessarily reflect grade-wise students' mastery of standards. So it's a huge paradigm shift, and one that we're excited about, which will actually begin to give us some standard evidence around kids' learning and standard mastery of standards. We have, Jeremy, I'm sure you've heard talk about our work with continuous improvement via Pat Greco and team. So that is an increase in services this year, and we've been working with her all year. We have maintained our ELD program, and we have maintained our academic intervention in this year, Genuity Credit Makeup, formerly Odyssey. This is our biggest goal. So once we get through this one, you can take a big breath. It'll get easier. So visual and performing arts strategic plan work is maintained and has continued this year. We did increase a replacement plan for Chromebooks and our Zoom renewal. I think everybody initially thought that once we were back in person, that Zoom thing wouldn't be necessary anymore. And I think we've all grown very used to the idea that actually it comes in handy every once in a while. We like to meet in person when possible, but Zoom still serves its purpose and will likely be with us going forward. We were able to add 4 additional professional development days this year, which is an increase in services around our multi-tiered systems of support. Maintaining our college and career readiness assistant at Windsor High School, maintaining our AP exam scholarships to students requesting them. Our CTE pathway completion is maintained, and AVID continues at Windsor Middle School and Windsor High School. If you don't have it on your calendar yet, tomorrow night is AVID Senior Night. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. Windsor High School Theater, 5:30 p.m. It's a great evening. All right, goal 2 is about engagement. And under goal 2, there are 2 actions and services, and both of them have resulted in maintaining, relating to SARB, or School Attendance Review Board, around student attendance, and then high school summer school for credit deficient students. Goal 3 is about maintaining an working and learning environment for students and for staff. 7 actions and services support Goal 3. 5 of the 7 resulted in increasing or maintaining services. The 2 that were not implemented, specifically, equity professional development was a line item, which is not to say we didn't do some work around equity, but we didn't actually capture that line item. So I wasn't able to check it as maintaining or increasing. And then we had some funding and time set aside to work specifically with a focus group of staff and students around student motivation and engagement exploration. We were not able to get that off the ground this year based on our recent Youth Truth Survey results. It is definitely likely to continue to be an area of focus going forward. So here's what we either increased or maintained. So I'll entertain the increase. We were able to, with some of our temporary COVID funding, increase to 5 social emotional counselors. So 1 full-time counselor at each of the elementaries and the middle school, and 2 full-time counselors at Windsor High School who also share time over at North Bay Met and Windsor Oaks. In addition to that, I was able to, officially as of tonight, increase the certificated staff salaries. So that's an increase this year. All right, and our last goal is about family partnerships. So 5 actions and services to support that goal. Those that we increased, Bloom's communication platform, which will actually be transitioning to a new communication platform probably next year, though it was an increase for this year's Lcap. And our new coordinator of district communication position. And the other 3 are maintenance goals. So in summary, we were able to, I was actually kind of surprised. I thought with all of the attention shift kind of away from education and into healthcare and COVID protocol implementation and safety, that we maybe didn't get as many of our Lcap actions and services off the ground. Overall, we didn't do too badly. 25 out of 31 resulted in increasing or maintaining services. 6 were not implemented. And as I begin to true up the annual update in the Lcap that I'll be bringing to you during the public hearing next month, we'll have a more detailed summary, including how we did on the metrics and where we ended up on budget in those. I will say that just as a parting comment, one of the, typically for Lcap Core Committee, the next step after sharing this data would be that we would go back to the 6 things that were not implemented and entertain some wallowing in the why about why they didn't get off the ground and what we may be able to think about and brainstorm in terms of solutions. And that happened. And we also took a risk and had a large conversation and took it a step further. So since it was really about most of them, a lack of employees, the first part of the why was, why don't we have more employees and what could we maybe do about that? But then based on some work that had been done prior and had not really been caught back up, we also pushed it to the next level of the conversation, which is, why do we not have more employees who represent our student demographics more closely? And what could we do about that? And I will say that it was at times a tense conversation, an uncomfortable conversation, and a critical conversation. And I, for one, and I received some very nice feedback after the evening, I was super pleased and super proud of the ability for students all the way up through board members and everyone in between to maintain honest and civil discourse around a topic that has the potential in our current political climate to get really emotional really quickly. And people were really able to hear each other on many different fronts and from many different viewpoints. And so for that, I am grateful and I am hopeful that those kinds of conversations and that kind of dialogue can continue in this district. Any questions?
I was there, so I have none. But
Oh, I was just going to say, thanks for being there. I couldn't be there at that one. No, this is a great report. I don't have any questions, and I think it totally makes sense that not everything was able to be implemented. And I agree with you. I think we implemented a lot. So I would say this is really good. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, hang on. So yeah, at the I would like to see if there's anybody in the public that would like to come up and speak about this issue. And if not, thank you, Lisa. I also would like to, I forgot on issue on 5.2, I didn't open that up for the public. Was there anybody that had anything that they wanted to say after Amy's presentation? Okay, very good. All righty. We are now going to jump into 6.1. We had this discussion last week, or last meeting, I mean, and then we brought it back again because we were missing two of our trustees, and I wanted to make sure everybody was in on this. And so 6.1, consideration of approval of committee for change resolution, proposed resolution. Actually, this is going to be presented by Superintendent Decker. There's actually, just kind of clarify, there was, and talking to the students, there's actually kind of three parts to this that they want to discuss. And so it's not just one thing, but there's kind of three subparts in this as well. So anyhow, we'll have a nice discussion, and Superintendent Decker.
I mean, I don't think there's much intro for me to give other than the fact that they came last meeting. We met after that board meeting and discussed, different aspects of the resolution, and they're back to make their pitch. So looking forward to hearing it.
So actually, before you start, so if you guys could put your presentation together, and then if the board members have maybe any quick questions, but then I want to open to the public, let the public come up, have make their comments, and then I want to close public comment and then bring it back to the board, and we may have some follow-up questions with y'all.
Great. We can just do like one run through now and then go into it after public comment, if that's
Perfect,
easier.
yes.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. We're here from the Committee for Change, which is an organization through Windsor High School. I'm Ava Hamelberg. This is Riley Zwetzlew and Grace Tharrington. We're the leaders. Like Rich mentioned, this is being proposed as one, but it's being voted on as three separate action items because there's three components to it. And as such, we will kind of present it as three separate parts so that it's kind of as clear as possible. But first, I'm going to let Riley give some context.
Thank you, Ava. So just to offer some context, make sure we're all on the same page for tonight, I'm going to provide some definitions for some terms that will be used later in tonight's presentation. So starting off, according to the EPA, climate adaptation strategies are, quote, intended to inform and assist communities in identifying potential alternatives and are presented to help communities consider possible ways to address anticipated current and future threats resulting from the changing climate, end quote. Additionally, according to NASA, climate change is, quote, a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates and are primarily driven by human activities, end quote. Finally, these will be mentioned a little bit later tonight as well. And per California legislation, green school practices are practices that, quote, conserve natural resources, reduce the impact of district operations on the environment, and protect the health of students, staff, and community, end quote.
Great. So as we mentioned, this has 3 points, and just to kind of give you the overviews of the three, we have as our first point, the District Climate Adaptation Strategy. Number 2, the Committee for Change Waste Systems Program. And number 3, the Delegation of Management of Sustainable Operations. So to start off with point 1, I'll do point 1. We have the District Climate Adaptation Strategy. This was originally introduced last meeting under a different name, but after talking with Superintendent Decker and President Carnation, we came to address some of the issues that were brought up. District Climate Adaptation Strategy, as Riley mentioned, we are defining that by the EPA's definition, and then again, that the vocabulary and the terminology that we're using, as Riley mentioned, is all included here just to make sure that since this is in writing, there's no question of any context that may be attributed to these words. So we're being very clear about the source of the language we're using and the way that it is being interpreted as the nation's top scientists and experts are doing so. So as we mentioned in the beginning, we just start with definitions, terminology, a little bit of precedent for the state of California and Windsor Unified School District. So we have the California legislation encouraging environmental education in AB 130 with the standard-based curriculum units on climate change and environmental justice. And that's a quote from AB 130. Then we also address the importance of addressing these issues specifically in schools with children who are a more vulnerable population, especially when you consider long-term effects and the future being the student's future. And this is really more of an acknowledgement of the fact that climate change is an issue that a school district can play a role in helping to mitigate, and just kind of mostly for the public's awareness, bringing up the board policies that they may not know are in effect, that to help them realize that the school board and the school district act as stewards of the environment. And it's really a reminder just to bring that back up to the public's and to just everyone's awareness that the school district has policy in place to kind of act as stewards of the environment. Grace, would you like to go for point two?
Perfect. So I'm going to be touching on the waste systems program. Sorry, is this good?
Say that again.
I'm going to be touching on the waste systems program from Committee for Change, which is what we're a part of. And essentially the waste systems program has like 3 different points again. The first point being the tri-bin system, the second point being training and resources, and then the third point being fund surplus. And so then for our tri-bin system, it essentially ensures that every trash bin is accompanied by recycling and compost bins. And when creating this system, we kind of took into place the Assembly Bill 827, which requires that school districts must provide educational signage and recycling bins adjacent to trash bins, as well as SB 1383, which says that school districts will be required to prevent, reduce the generation of, and recycle organic waste. And then also under this waste systems program, we have the pilot program, which we implemented on campus at Windsor High School. And we took 7 different classrooms with varying grade levels, interests, languages, kind of as diverse as we could make it. And we gave them each recycling and compost bin next to the already trash bin that was there. And then we also gave them additional signage up top of the bin, yeah, that kind of directed them what to put what in. And then we measured the amount of waste in all 3 bins daily. And the outcome of this program was we saw a 71.76 decrease in trash. We saw a 164.8% increase in recycle and a 221.51% increase in compost. So we know that if we give them the right bins as well as the signage, they will do what they're what they're supposed to.
For the next point, I'll be talking a little bit about training and resources that will need to be provided by the district. Per Board Policy 3511, the district must provide sustainability training to students and staff. And as Grace just presented, we saw that when you provide the proper education to students on just even at our high school level, great change can happen. So if we see this on the district level, we'll also see that change throughout the district. Next, staff tasked with waste removal should be provided with sustainability training. This would include education about which waste goes in which bin, because even if the bins are out, we need to know where everything goes for this project to be successful. Additionally, descriptions and duties of relevant positions should be updated to correspond with new tasks. And relevant staff must receive proper resources to promote sustainable practices. So in theory, this will all work, but we need the proper resources and equipment for the custodial, janitorial staff to be able to do their job and dispose of these 3 separate waste bins properly. Thank you.
Perfect. So then for Part C, the fund surplus, we just kind of want to make sure that the money that is saved should be redirected to the district's green school practices, which is pretty broad as we defined it in the beginning. So that's kind of just point C.
All right. Our final point is sustainability coordination. So responsibilities will be divided between the CBO and Director of School Facilities Maintenance and Operations. And these new responsibilities will include monitoring waste systems, evaluating practices, advocating for sustainable options, and promoting effective and efficient use of resources. So with all of these new resources and education provided, we'll need these new tasks to be delegated to these positions in order for the project to be successful and to promote the effective and efficient use of these resources.
So that's the end of the initial presentation, and we're more than happy to offer clarifications on points of it. But would you like to do that now? Or would you like to open for public comment first?
Let's do that after. Let's get the public comment and then we'll come on back.
Great.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. You guys okay with public comment? If we could, I'd like to open this up for public comment. And I'll, what's that? Yeah, no, I'm just, yeah, same as, yeah, I'm just getting the, Jen's not here, so give me 1 second here. We gotta,
I'm not touching the microphone, so it should stay on.
nope, it's all good.
Okay, good.
You're good.
My name is Lisa Hadley Hill, and I am a science teacher at Windsor High School and the CFC advisor, a parent of 2 graduates of our school district. And it was great to see those retirees. I'm a few more years out, but I just want to first acknowledge and thank all of the hard work that you guys do. As we can see, we are members of this community, and as parents, grandparents, teachers, we are this fabric, right, that we are together. And I just kind of wanted to give a little background first as to why I am so passionate about this and so excited about our community supporting it. As an environmental science teacher this year, I have become more and more aware of the emergency that we really and truly are in. I know we hear about climate change and it's just kind of, it's pervasive, right? We're aware of the situation, but I have become more aware through my teaching of really the situation that we're in. The IPCC goals, so that's the intergovernmental panel for climate change, that's multiple governments across the planet, has said that we need to keep our current warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we're already there, and we're on a current track to be 3 to 4 or more, depending on our actions. And I know our Windsor community has been very progressive, and I am so proud of Windsor and a lot of the green practices that have already been taking place in the town of Windsor. I got to take my students to the wastewater treatment facility right across the street. We are not using chlorine. We're using ultraviolet light that's just better on the environment and better on our health, better on our safety. We have solar panels floating on top of the water that's being held out there. So we're generating all the electricity almost, I think pretty much 100%. In fact, I think we're putting energy back into the system. The town of Windsor just approved to have our waste actually processed so that it's available to be treated and then used within the community as fertilizer, essentially. We're investing in those things that are just fabulous here. But at our school, we definitely need to step it up. Carbon dioxide, this is something you're just going to get a little science lesson. I am a science teacher, as I prefaced, right? Carbon dioxide has fluctuated. This is true, right? The climate has changed. We've not always been the same in the past, but it has fluctuated lower than 300 parts per million for the last 800,000 years. Since 1950, it has gone from that 300 level to beyond 400. We are right now at today 420 parts per million. Since 1950, that is a 40% increase. I repeat, it has been below 300 parts per million for the last 800,000 years. 40% increase since 1950. That's human caused. We know that we are impacting these things. Global warming, right, is this thing over here, but we're not so much just concerned with the greater temperature. It's the greater temperature puts more energy into the system. Thank you, I was not aware of that. The oceans have absorbed the majority of that heat. And as you know, if you're boiling a pot of water, it takes a long time, right, to heat that up. We have already increased the ocean's temperatures by 1.5 degrees. So in conclusion, I appreciate that we are having this conversation. The Intergovernmental Panel has a giant, I wish I had the website to be able to give you the visual. We all need to do all the things, all of us. It's not just one government or one sector of the community. We really need to do all of that for all of us, for our future. And the root of conservative, because I believe we are all conservative in our hearts, is to conserve and to protect from harm and destruction. There you go, to the nail, huh? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, it's 3 minutes.
Hi, Terry Oden. I'm a grandparent of a student at the high school. I've been volunteering this year with Windsor High School Jaguar Boosters, working at the snack bar. And clearly, the version of this does not exist at the high school. We emphasize trash over recycling and compost. I worked this morning at the Special Olympics. There's 2 recycle bins and about 20 trash bins. That's one of those places where a small change will make a huge difference. And that kind of thing at every campus can almost solve the district's problems in terms of meeting their requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Terry. Okay.
Shannon Johnson, I'm a citizen here. I've had 3 kids through the district. I teach here too. And I appreciate Lisa's lesson. It was really, really good. I'd go with the one thing that we're mandated reporters, and when harm is being done to our kids, we need to kind of do something. Harm's being done to our kids and our climate. So it's kind of our job to do something about it. But these kids have done so much work, and this has been 3 years in the running. There's grants out there. There's a $200,000 grant we just shared with Austin that could pay for all these recycling bins if we want to write it in 2 weeks. But we got to do something. And it's crazy that we're still talking about this. I grew up in the 60s and there was recycling in my town and it was in my schools. We got to do better. So please listen to the kids. Thanks.
Evening. My name is Terry Taylor. I live in Windsor, and I'm a member of a local group called We Act, and I'll bring you back to that in just a moment, but also a member of the local task force, which is a Windsor appointed position that works county-wide, and that's around integrated waste management. And I'm also a member of the Sonoma County Zero Waste Task Force. And I think the title probably speaks to itself right there. But I want to come back to We Act, because that's actually why I'm here tonight. A few years back, a group of local citizens got together and asked what we could do to address global warming locally. And the place we started was with the Thursday night town concerts. And we showed up working with the local hauler called Resource and Recovery. And in the process of that, worked with local residents on diversifying how the trash was handled at the concerts. So we were out there with grabbers and vests, helping people sort. And we had similar statistics to what the students talked about tonight. And in the sense of going from 0 diversion from landfill to about 72% diversion to recycling. So tremendous success. The reason I mentioned all this is that I think there's actually a leadership issue that is facing our country right now about these kinds of troubles, actually. And the leadership is about what to trust. So even around global warming, there's been tremendous contention about the veracity of that. And I think it's now irrefutable that we're facing it. If we can trust our major institutions like NASA and the National Geological Association. They're coming out pretty clearly with data that supports it. What I want to do tonight is the local group here was pretty amazed and delighted to find that there are students who are really stepping into their future around these issues. My request is that you support what they're asking for and also to volunteer any services that we can from the local community to help make that happen. So I speak on behalf of WEACT and as a person who's interested in the well-being of Windsor and our schools. So thank you.
Thank you. Actually, that was right on the nose. It was perfect. Actually, you had 2 more seconds to spare, but you did it.
I'll take his 2 seconds. Hi, my name is Kathy Taylor. I'm also a member of WEACT, and we have a grandson in Cali Calmecec. I just want to say that we're teaching him to be responsible. He needs to think about how he uses things and how he disposes of things. We emphasize it in public. We emphasize it at work. But we're not doing it in the schools. And that's where we're teaching people to be responsible adults. So that piece needs to be included as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and say something right now? You only get three per customer. We all good? All right, thank you. I'm bringing back to the board. If you could help me, Ava, for a second, just someone to summarize. There's just 3 things that we're kind of looking at, which is the resolution, the tri-bin system, and what was the
Sustainable operations.
right, as far as who's going to be responsible for those things, right? If you don't mind, I'd kind of like to, well, it's.
We have a discussion with the board first.
Sure. That's what I was going to bring up. That we were going to talk about, if we could talk about the tri-bin system first, then go maybe to the revenue stuff and then maybe the resolution kind of.
Can I also interject and just say that this has been vetted with both Austin and myself. And so we can support and implement what's being presented here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my first comment, not to the group necessarily, but maybe to staff. Several years ago, and continuing, it was an issue between the town and the school district on who provided services. Could you remind us what that policy is at this time and what it is going forward?
Austin and I will probably have to tag team this. So the town has provided our services for a number of years, and it's at a significant cost to the town. That agreement is running out. Austin, is it next year? They haven't said. Basically, they said they're not going to re-up. So I need to see when that date is that they're not re-upping. But it's a significant cost that's going to be coming to the district of over probably $500,000.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. I was there when all that stuff happened. I was involved with it. It's not the town that's paying for
taxpayers.
The taxpayers.
Yeah, I apologize. You're right.
No, well, it's kind of important to. So everybody in the town of Windsor, in their bill, a little part of it. So at my house, I get a bill for the stuff that I generate at our house. And then a little part of my bill covers what the school district generates. Also covered, I think, what the fire department generated and also what the town generated. So those were the 3 public agencies, so to speak, that the townspeople covered. So it didn't come out of their direct out of their budget. So it's a little bit.
Yes.
It may be a nuance. So what's not being approved is the contract that was bid on by the provider. Those contract terms were in there. So when their agreement expires, then those terms expire. Whether we continue to do that or not would depend on the RFP that goes out to the new, when they bid again.
And the way it has been presented to the district from the town is we're not covering it anymore. that's the way it was presented to us when they met.
Yeah,
So that's more in-depth knowledge.
Yeah,
Rich,
so
than-
that the town right now is saying that the RFP that they put out, because they're the lead agency, that they're not going to put that in the RFP.
Got it.
Unless we as town people say, hey, or the school district goes and says, we would like you to have that included in the RFP.
Understood.
So, or as an adult in the RFP to find out what that cost would be. So
Got it.
I want to make sure that baseline that we're.
No,
on the
that
same-
was great information because it was not information that was given to me or Austin.
But that is the information. I mean.
Understood.
So anyhow, that's just that part of it.
So my follow-up is, have we or will we have conversations with the different agencies that provide waste management services? I know a lot of them, as a local citizen, I get 3 bins, actually 4, but one's combined. I don't know if at the district level, going to Windsor High or going to Maddie, if they bring 3 different trucks or if they just, how that manages, how our teachers and our custodial staff and our kitchen staff and such, how they divide those out and when they're picked up. So not that that has an impact on a decision for tonight, but it's important for us to know that things may change. We may need to negotiate for ourselves. And if we make that negotiation in the future, we might want to play a game, not play a game, but include it in our strategy that they need to provide those extra bins for us rather than us purchasing them. Because they're getting the revenue from the recycling, they're getting the revenue from the composting, but we're paying for all that stuff as a service, as they provide the service to remove the garbage. So there's lots of things to consider in the future that may impact what they're asking for tonight, because right now there aren't any saved costs for us that are listed in what they're presenting. In the future, we may have saved costs, but it's in addition to us paying nearly $500,000 for that service that we are not paying for right now. So.
He's done some work.
Yeah, behind the scenes, it was funny because I didn't even realize that there was a committee for change that was passionate about this. But behind the scenes, I'd walked every site with Sonoma Resource Recovery, learned that there wasn't even a composting facility in Sonoma County, so it limited what kind of bins and carts we could buy and so on and so forth. We walked through delivery dates, pickup dates, rat problems that I foresee coming down the future with food waste in all of our cafeteria sites. But the biggest issue was at the high school, because the high school, as mentioned, doesn't even have recycling, nevertheless composting. At least the other sites have recycling, and of course Cali has the great composting. But one of the things that these 3 leaders that was mentioned earlier, one thing that they did do is they created a map of where they would put all of the trash bins. And that was something that not even me or Sonoma Resource or any of our custodians or our staff at all could even start thinking about how to do. So it's pretty cool that we're going to partner with the Committee for Change, and it's going to be a student-led change of just environmental friendly practices that's much needed at the high school. So in terms of implementing this structure, we have, I feel like, a pretty good plan moving forward. And then in terms of training staff, that's currently what we're doing with Sonoma Resource Recovery, is they're making videos. I found out that they've been making videos. And so it's starting to snowball a little bit. And I'm hoping that come July and August of next school year, this thing is going to be pretty close to fully implemented. And it was funny because during our meeting, Lisa asked me, she said, when do you think this will be implemented? And I said, well, I asked Sonoma Resource Recovery to start them on Monday. And she said, are you kidding? And I said, no, they won't do it. But so that's an update, though, of where we're at currently with it. So we're actually getting really close. We want to train all staff first. And then that way we want staff to also take control of it and have, a sense of ownership in it as well, because it's funny because we feel like the students are already there. So that's the next step in it.
I'd like to say something. So I first wanted to thank the Committee for Change. Thank you so much for being here. I 100% agree with everything that you presented. And I also feel that we're a little bit behind the 8 ball here, because this seems very basic, what they're requesting. And I'm wondering if we could make it a goal on this board to revisit, the progress of this. Since Austin, you were saying that this could be rolled out in the fall. I'd like to revisit the progress of, how this is going. So I think that it should be a goal for us to look at, how we're doing, but also to have, more innovative ideas going forward into the future about climate change, because this is such an important subject. So I feel like, I guess what I'm saying is that this should not be the end of it, that we should continue rolling out, more ideas of how we can help the next generation. And also agendize some goals, and also, reporting on how we're doing.
So thank you for your presentation. I just had a couple of implementation. I like the school year start. I think that's good. It appears that there may be some meet and confer position discussions. I'm sorry that Brad isn't here from the classified union talking about descriptions and official duties or things we talk with union members about. I don't think there would be any resistance, but it's what that investment in. Kathy and Terry Taylor, thank you for coming. I will, as one trustee, will take you up on your linkage with the town. A year and a half ago, I think our last joint meeting we had with the town, we had talked about potentially sharing a sustainability coordinator. It has gone nothing past talking. I think we need to integrate with the town on this proposal, sit down with them, tell them, no, taxpayers are paying through their rates for this. This needs to be an integrated program. It's not an us and them, and they sometimes will come from our brothers and sisters who sit up here from the town that, well, the town is paying for the fire department and the schools. And my view is the community should have an integrated waste system. And we can sort out how we allocate costs and those sort of things. Very much like the pilot program results, I think numbers 2 and 3 in your proposal to me are no-brainers, and I intend to support them. I think there's some implementation. I'm glad on that. I concur with Malinelli's sense. I think we should either have a friendly amendment, or you all come back to us in June, Austin and Jeremy, to tell us a little bit more detail about what the implementation and rollout. I'd very much like to make sure that our custodians are up and going. If there is $200,000 in grants, as I think Shannon said that, if action, which I think will be positive today, let's get on those. There is 2 weeks. There's then into June, but I mean, we are very good about getting grants. I don't want to go without saying, I saw pictures of, I'm not sure if it was 3 of you plus Meadows as well, but you guys won $1,500 for innovation and stuff. And thank you for doing that science stuff. So that's where we are. I'd almost like to make a motion, Mr. President, that so that we have something that we're working on, right? That we approve their proposal. I think I understand the implementation and the timing. We have gotten a red line of the resolution, which I generally am support of the red line. There's some words that I would like to maybe not have do the red line version. It's scaled back from what was in our board packet. For example, there was a whereas, and there was about 8 bullets from board policy 3510 that are not in what we got. Have you all seen this red line? Yeah. So
I'm sorry, that might be the resolution from the last board meeting. After meeting with Rich and Jeremy, we have the district climate adaptation strategy, which does not include that. And it was linked in the proposal that we added in the board agenda, but we don't have one that has the points of board policy because we realized the redundancies there.
So what is not redlined is what they submitted.
Yeah.
And what the red line is what the things that you and I discussed, but you said that you wanted to have us discuss it here at the board level. Oh, I'm sorry.
So I will make a motion because here's my concern, Ava. I am not particularly interested in having a debate on particular language in a resolution from the dais. It's very inefficient. And the point and counterpoint about it, maybe we can leave a few places that need to be then further worked on. But we're at the point where I think you're going to get approval of this, and dancing on the head of the pin for certain languages, and those are my words, is I think slows down the overall general progress. That's just me as one trustee. So I have a sense, Mr. President, you are of a mind that we are going to go through 10 or 11 paragraphs of the be it resolved and whereases to look at particular, does the word direct or encourages get used? That is what I am encouraging our board not to do. If we need to do that, then this resolution needs to be removed from the policy so it's ready next time we come and we can act on the other things. However, I think this climate adaptation strategy resolution as written is a boilerplate. I'm glad that you started with some of those definitions out of the science, because it's the boilerplate that supports numbers 2 and number 3.
So if I could interject before you do this.
I won't move.
Okay, thanks. Just, you guys have to understand the history. And so the last time we had our meeting, the way things came to us, it wasn't going to get approved. There was only 3 of us here. You have to get 3 votes. I explained that when we went through our meeting. So that's just for everybody that wasn't there. And so I believe that everybody in this room has the same goals. How you get there, how you do some things, those things might be a little bit different. And so I wanted to, actually, quite frankly, Superintendent Decker, he used the word honor, and I like it. It's a good word. We wanted to honor you guys. We wanted to honor what you guys have done so far. And so I don't believe that there's any disagreement, I'm speaking out loud, with anybody as far on the board as far as the goals of this. There may be some to Trustee Adams' point. He's right. You typically don't banter back and forth about language. Those things get resolved outside. So when we had our last board meeting, I had been waiting for 3 weeks for y'all to get together, and we got together on Friday. So I'm sorry, you weren't here, Ava, but the 3 before, I said, hey, let's get together and do it. We didn't do it until Friday, so it didn't give us much time to actually do these things and go through it. So we're trying, we want to, I want to vote on some stuff tonight and get it going forward. I'm okay with going and discussing those things. You guys said you wanted to make your case here. And so that's why I brought it up. So that way you could, if the board wants to do it, but I don't know that the board really wants to banter and go back and forth. It's not typical of how things are done. But I didn't want to be the only person saying that one way or the other. And so, and so I wanted to just give you guys a little bit of the backstory of how we got here. I hate it, and I'm going to use that word hate it. I hate it when people try and tell me what I can't say or whatever. And I don't want to do that. Didn't want to do that to you guys either. So if you guys had things that you wanted to say or whatever, I wanted you to have the opportunity to it. But I really don't particularly want to banter at this point about why certain language is in there. We're like 95% there. Actually, I think I even said 97% there. And so it was, and I wasn't going to make a choice for everybody on the board either of whether or not they wanted to talk about it at this point or not. But on the resolution, and that's kind of where that came from. And so, so how the board wants to go forward with this, I like the idea of, the tri-bin. I don't. So I'm trying to be as transparent as possible.
Would it be possible, I'm recognizing that you may have some context that the rest of the board doesn't have, if I could just kind of even that out real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
No,
Yes. So without bantering, I realize that President Carnation has some context from our meetings that the rest of you may not have. Specifically in Trustee Adams or Vice President Adams's point about the encouragers versus directs. We specifically use that language when the noun is the Board of Trustees, we use the verb encourages, but when the noun is board policy, we use the verb directs because it is board policy using the word shall, not may. So when it says the superintendent shall, or their designee shall do this in the board policy, we use the word directs in our resolution, whereas when it would be something that the Board of Trustees would encourage, we do use that word encourage. So just to provide that clarity, because I know we gave that to President Carnation, but not the rest of you. As for, this was a bit, our negotiations were quite recent. many of us on the leadership team are taking AP courses, and the timing just happened to be that AP weeks were right between this, so we were busy being full-time students instead of activists. But we do feel that after talking with President Carnation and Superintendent Decker, that we were able to address the concerns from both parties. We did agree that there were some redundancies in the original resolution, and we did kind of boil things down to our shared goals. And we believe that this new resolution addresses those in a way that is both clear, but also does not create a precedent that might be exacerbated in the future. Are there any questions after that?
I also have a question.
Okay, Eric had it.
Okay, so I'm going to place a little bit of blame partly on myself and others in the room here. I've been on the policy subcommittee for the last 2 years, and we have not met. So that's an issue that some of these things came to us, and we haven't met to discuss them. With COVID happening, with Zoom meetings, with getting back rolling through everything happening, I'll take some of the responsibility because I didn't initiate or didn't ask for another meeting to come forward as fast as I should have. But this adaptation strategy is something that committee should approve. And if we choose as a subcommittee to make a few changes, that's where it would happen, not here at the dais right now. So I'm going to make a motion, and others can speak also. I'll make the motion to approve the Resolution 2022 District Climate Adaptation Strategy to go to Policy Subcommittee and then become part of board policy. And the rest of you can discuss if you choose to approve that or not, or make a motion to otherwise.
So I think you beat me to it because what I was going to suggest or ask also is.
Actually, give back it. Hang on 1 second. I think we're supposed to, if someone makes a motion, we're supposed to get a second and then have discussion or not at that point, right?
Yeah, I'll second Eric's motion so that you
So we
can
had the
make your
discussion,
comments,
right?
Mel.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I wanted to clarify something
Sure.
about before you seconded or whatever, but you interrupted me. But I really needed this question answered first. And that is, I was wondering, Eric, if you could clarify a little bit what you were saying, because what I was trying to understand is it possible to approve this without having all of this language in place, and then perhaps this be read at a future meeting?
So my recommendation is that this document be approved tonight to go to Policy Subcommittee. The Policy Subcommittee reviews it, and then it comes back on consent.
Okay.
If we choose to approve it this way, or if it changes, it'll be available for everybody to see at that time. And then the rest of the board approves it on consent or disapproves it if they don't like it. So.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That answers my question.
Any more discussion? Stephanie?
I still haven't commented. I'm just getting a little tired. I'm not used to staying up this late anymore. But no, I'm so appreciative that you're here and that you're doing this work on sustainability, because I mean, just the implementation of this program, which I see as kind of the key, like the key get from this, the key goal. And like, I'm a systems person, so I always want to see, and that can be a little boring in governance, because I think we generally, I mean, you've seen in national politics, we like things to be very exciting. Like, you know, that's what gets the attention. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of boring. And I feel that like the technical system stuff is what actually gets things done. Like, what's the measurable outcome from something happening? That's what makes me really excited, is like when there's something that changes that makes things better. And sometimes we can get, I don't know, that I won't comment too much, but there can be a lot of energy spent on the fight and not a lot spent on the outcome. And I think even Shannon, what you're talking about the 60s, we were already talking about this, we were already doing this. Why aren't we doing this now? Like, why isn't it happening? And I think that we do, I don't know, this is just my commentary on things generally, but sometimes the energy goes into the discussion and not in just the action, which I think all of us agree on. Like, I think we've been kind of confused even about why we're not composting, why we're not recycling. It just, I don't know why it ended up the way it did, but it did. And I think sometimes, and I think this is particular to the United States, it's cheaper to do something that's not as good for the environment. And it's a little bit more expensive sometimes to do things that are better for the environment, are better for sustainability. And I think that's probably what led to the situation we have now, maybe, or it could just be that attention wasn't paid to it. I don't know, but I'm really glad that you're working on it. And I think as far as the waste systems program, like this is absolutely what we should do. Like we already have everyone in place, everyone wants to do it, we have a plan. I think the issue that I'm hearing is kind of about the way that we have worded the resolution, kind of linking it to climate change, the way climate change is defined. I'm personally a Democrat. I am friends with a lot of Republicans. People talk about things using different language, and it's just, I think it's becoming even more prevalent today. And I see some of it in the wording, so I understand the concerns. Like, I think they're legitimate. I think that sometimes we don't speak the same way to each other, but we have the same goals. I really believe that we have the same goals, everyone here. So I think that we need to get this going. If taking the climate adaptation strategy and putting that, is that what we're saying? Put that into the board policy, or what's the, and I want to hear from Bill, because I think you have an idea about how we move forward. I'm recovering, as I mentioned, from having a surgery, and like, I don't have the energy that I usually do at 9 o'clock at night. So I need a little help knowing what we need to do to make sure that we're able to get the outcome and move forward cohesively. So I'm just asking for help.
Well, I think Eric has made a motion that I second, would perhaps have the final tweaking of resolution 2022, which will have a different resolution number. We have resolutions that are in order, but we can clean that up. Either sort it out with sorting it out through policy, right? Or do we approve as written and it goes to policy and gets reviewed again? Let me just ask you, and I want to make sure you're looking at the same one we're looking at, because I don't know who made these red line changes. Okay.
Is it possible for me to hand you this real quick to make sure?
Sure.
Because mine doesn't have red lines.
Oh, that's not good. You take mine.
Ava's is the one that is in the agenda.
Right.
Right.
Right, have you?
This is not the one.
No, it's not. So have you seen the red line version?
The cleaned up version.
Okay.
That's the cleaned up version.
Let me help everybody out. The red line version you guys see, the red I added,
But they haven't seen it.
they have seen it. I already have sent it to Ava, and Ava said, I'd rather not. I'd like to discuss it.
Is that
in
the
front of-"
version that
Yes.
they have? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
So
Yes, that
So
is not
let
the
me-
version in the
okay,
agenda, but
That's,
that
yes,
was,
and so I apologize to
yes.
you all. That is coming from a challenge on our side. What I would suggest is that we move this policy, and I want you guys to be able to know that it is done before you graduate, right? That's soon. Eric can get the policy group together soon to look at this and figure out, there's, for example, I'll just give you one, and this is what started to drive me crazy. There is a quote from the EPA. I will take at face value that the EPA and the NASA quotes are accurate. And the word threats is changed to challenges in the red word. Well, if the threats is what the quote from the EPA says, it needs to be there. If we don't like part of the EPA quote, there's a portion of the end of the NASA quote that's stricken through. That, frankly, I think, Eric, is what the policy group. I think in principle, we are agreed for the resolution 2022. This, I realize now what the disconnect is. We had a document put in front of us as we walked up here that you haven't seen.
Well, we
And-
have
No, they
seen
have
it.
seen
I'm
it.
realizing now that President Carnation made that clarification. We did see that when we were kind of going
Yeah.
back and forth on what we wanted this to look like. We did ask that our version stay as proposed in the agenda because we felt that we could make the case that words and the quoted words needed to stay incorporated, and that the second part of the NASA quote was relevant to the case we're making.
Okay.
And just so we're all on the same page, we can approve this and then still review it in the policy subcommittee. So there's two different ways that this can be done.
But we're not approving the red line version. 'cause
The red line
We're
version is
only
not in front of the
approving-
public. That's a
Correct.
problem.
We are
tonight,
only
right?
approving the version that would be in the agenda.
Yeah,
So
and just
let-
to clarify,
agenda
that's what I was asking
version-
earlier, is
Alright.
if we can come back and revisit this
So
when
here's,
it's gone through
here's,
the policy.
Eric, if I might make a friendly amendment to your motion, because I think procedurally, that is the problem that I have, because in my day job, I'm a lawyer for public entities. This document, the red line version, has not been seen by the public. It was seen in the
Yes.
communication with your group coming out, but what it has not gone is gotten to our agenda, so the public knows. I've seen some faces like, what are you talking about out there? What I would suggest then is that our board vote on the 3 issues that are presented in this item, including the resolution is provided and it's adapted, it's been retracted a little bit, and that it go to the policy group, and the policy group look at it to say, now, at that point, you're going to see whether the policy group recommends any further revisions, these red lines, other red lines, other changes, right? And you all can look at that and come back to see if the resolution as adopted, if in fact there's a vote for that, gets changed in some way. I could see how your view would be, well, it sort of waters it down or weakens it. It softens some of the more directive language. But I think the challenge we have is we've been presented with a document to vote on that's not been properly put in front of the public for our meeting today. And that's the piece that I didn't want to be debated. I did not realize that was the case.
Yes.
So Eric, if we
And
might.
if I may, real quick, because we checked the agenda, the version that we sent linked to what is available on the agenda is this version that we're presenting
That's what I just
here.
said.
That one is not in the agenda,
Okay,
so
Ava,
the
I'm
public
sorry.
has not been
Excuse me.
made
Excuse me.
aware
This
of
is
that.
not a debate. That's what I just said.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
I just wanted to clarify that there was no miscommunication
No,
with
no,
the
no, I'm
public.
not
that
blaming anybody
They should have
except
access
maybe.
to that.
Oh,
Okay,
sitting up here.
no,
So-
hey, so now I get a chance to talk for a second now. This, whenever a resolution or anything amongst any governmental agency is given, you're an attorney, all the time, a resolution will come to us to talk about, right? And in that resolution or in any discussion or decision, people will say, you know what? Case in point, at the planning commission meeting the other night, we were talking about the VMT. And each commissioner said, you know, I can go along with this if we could change this language. I could go along with this if we could change that, or if we could add this or add that. So what I did is I did exactly what everyone else does. I just put it in, I took the document that they gave us, I put my comments in it for everyone to see. So that way, instead of me going, I don't like this particular word, could we change it to this? I put it out in front to everybody. They've seen it before this meeting, and I gave it to you guys so you could see it. So then that way, instead of me just going, hey, can we change this word? It's so that you would have it in a written form to see it. I'm not doing anything that anybody doesn't do all the time, except for I just gave it to you in writing versus me going, you know, in the second paragraph, I don't like this. Can we change that? I just made it much more transparent and much more obvious to everybody. That's what I was doing. So I wasn't trying to be underhanded or sneaking something by anybody.
No one said that, Rich.
There was a little bit of an inference I kind of took, Bill.
Well, I think you took it incorrectly.
Oh, okay, then
I think Eric has something he wants
Good.
to say.
I will restate a new motion, retracting the previous because I didn't understand the context of the document in front of me. I will motion that we approve the Committee for Change Waste System proposal as is in our agenda with the resolution going to the policy subcommittee for discussion and possible adaptation. And then if that committee will then bring the statements back to the consent agenda for the board to approve at a later meeting.
I second that motion.
We don't even.
Any more discussion?
No.
Could I make one quick request? And this is a question for you specifically about the policy subcommittee. Would it be possible in discussions about this resolution? I know that we have some seniors in our group, but it is a continuing group to include the Committee for Change in the decision before it is officially proposed to the board again as an action item?
Yes, we can do
Yeah.
that. I can reach back out.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It's advertised, not advertised, but it's,
Yeah, they're open to the public.
Open to the
Open
public,
meeting,
yeah.
But I'll make sure everybody's aware.
sure. Yeah, so it's been, yeah, so now, all those in favor?
Motion, but we don't have a second.
No, I did. I seconded
He
it.
seconded,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's take any public comment again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's just
Yeah, since this was all kind of,
the motion.
thank you very much. I'm gonna, I've been asked to reopen it to the public if anybody has something that they would like to say. And you guys are good.
Okay.
Anything, anybody in the public want to say that they hasn't already been said before? All righty, I'll bring it back to the board. We've had a motion, second. All those-
Just one other comment. I would like us to figure out, as you all are doing the implementation, to work with the Taylors, to work with we've got to have this on a serious conversation with the town, probably somebody from the Committee of Change to be there. You guys are passionate when we have, because we can do some of this. We can't do it all. In some ways, we're behind the town. So I think this is cohesive, this policy, and thank you for it. And the sausage making watching that you've been here with us. But I do think we need to integrate a lot better at the town and community level so that it's all of our large. We're the largest employer, the largest waste producer, I think, probably. And I think we just need to make sure that that's woven in, since it's clearly going to go on your head, Austin, and
Right.
to get it done. So that was my only comment.
No, I actually, just on your light, to follow that up. We've got about 2 years, I think, before the policy comes back up. The garbage. I don't remember who brought it up. So anyhow, so credit to them that brought it up. But if we implement this, the tri-bin system when school starts in August, right? If we can do whatever, all of us use our resources, get this working. It gives us 2 years to figure out, like the students, they did the reduction, and right? So we got to figure out how much we're reducing, right? It's the only responsible thing for us to do is to do that, because we all pay for our garbage in our town. And I'm just going to pull a number out of my hair. Just say each one of us are paying $5 a month to subsidize the school's waste, right? If we can go to the public and to the town and say, hey, folks, we want you to have the waste folks included in the next RFP. And we want you to do that because here's what we did. We went and took, pick a number, 100 pounds of stuff, and through recycling and sorting things out, we reduced that to 25 pounds, right? And everything else, the other 75 is getting recycled. Now we're saying, hey, townspeople, we don't need you to subsidize us $5 anymore. We need you to subsidize us $1.25, $1.50, right? Most people are okay with doing stuff like this when they know that we're doing all that we can do. So if we can do all that we can do, then we can go to the folks and say, hey, look, this is going to really hurt our budget if we have to do this. But this is what we've done over the last 2 years. So that way folks will go, yeah, we're going to support the schools. We're going to help them, because otherwise it's going to hurt our budget. But so that's the goal. And how we implement it, I think we're on the same page goal wise. How we get there, we may have a couple different roads on how to get there. But I think that, to your point, it's critical, financially speaking, as well as everything else, that we implement this as soon as possible. But we haven't, I don't know, I've read these things. I think we need to be really, really good at tracking how much better we're doing. So that way, because then if we really track it and we know what we're doing and what we're generating, then the town, when the RFP goes out, we say, hey, look, over the last 2 years, this is what we generated. Now they have some really solid numbers in which they can, when you take the guessing out, when people bid on things, you take out the guessing, they can get their proposal can be much, much more refined and better. And so with that in mind, so I believe we all have the same goal, but that we have a 2-year window, I believe, to really implement it, document it, and show what the improvement's been. So that way we can get the best value going down the road. And that's how we work with the town going forward in that regard. So anyhow, that's kind of would be the thing. So anyhow, all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Stephanie, you had a comment?
Not to delay us that much longer, but I did just want to say Ava Hamelberg was our student board member last year and never actually got to come to a real in-person meeting, right? And you're
Yep.
here. This is the last meeting you're going to be at. And I feel like I have to commandeer this moment, my last burst of energy, to recognize you right before we vote. Hopefully it's appropriate timing. Probably not. But, you know, now or never, right?
Watch what you wish for, Ava. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah.
Actually,
So-
I have an idea then, Stephanie. Ava, would you please come to the microphone? Would you, we need to vote on it. Would you ask for our vote?
Is it a roll call vote?
It is, because it's a resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Do you care the order I go in?
No.
No, whatever, you're in charge.
You could
It's
start
your
with the
night.
student board member if you'd like. 'cause
Yes,
he gets to
actually,
vote.
the student board member has a preferential vote. So you get your preferential vote in the beginning. Student board member Heflin,
Yes.
trustee Heights,
Yes.
trustee Lopez,
Yes.
president Carnation,
Yes.
vice president Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Ahmad.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Ava. Perfect. I am sorry that I'm not really good at making sausage in public, but I think it's important sometimes to veer a little bit from what some of the norms are. So that way you can, I think sometimes, not always, but sometimes when you veer from the norms, sometimes you get a better product anyway, because you get more people interjecting. Now, sometimes when you get more people interjecting things, it can really go sideways. But I like smart people, and I like hearing other ideas, because none of us know everything. And so when we get more input and more information, I think ultimately as people, we make better choices and better decisions. And so anyhow, for that, and again, some of you guys didn't know this, but they did a wonderful job going back and forth and getting information and gleaning things. And I want to say this. When I heard Bill's son at the Planning Commission, young guy, Windsor graduate, grasping concept, difficult, hard to understand concepts and mastering them quickly. It made me feel good when I hear you young folks grabbing concepts that are difficult, working and weaving your way through things to make things happen for the better. It really makes me feel good that my kids and my grandkids are going to be, hey, we live in times right now that are kind of like all over the place, right? And yet you guys make me feel good knowing that there are smart people coming up the line that have a social sense of responsibility. And it makes me feel like, hey, you know what? My kids and my grandkids are going to be okay, because there's some really good, smart people out there that are going to keep trying to make things better. And for that, I'm very appreciative. And you know, you guys make us proud. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
On to 6.2, consideration of approving, authorizing the creation of a retiree benefit fund. Austin.
All right. So this is a resolution for the creation of the Retiree Benefit Fund. This is Fund 71 for the California School Accounting Manual. So Fund 71 is, it's interesting. It's actually, I've never been in a district that hasn't had it. And so this district is the first district that I've seen that doesn't have it. Fund 71 is great for the fact that you're able to take one-time monies and put it into a separate trust, which can generate some revenue. And then you can use that to pay down some long-term liabilities. So like in our contract, if someone, let's say a teacher retires, they get post-employment benefits until they hit 65, depending on how many years of service they have and what year they were hired in. But anyway, so because of that, we have a long-term liability of about $11.1 million that is long-term, that as people retire, they get those benefits and they increase every year. So what this fund allows is it allows one-time revenues to be able to put into there that creates more money that can fund these long-term liabilities, if that makes sense. So in a time when the state is very flush in money as of right now, the governor often gives these one-time monies to districts, which doesn't allow us to give them directly to unions, but we can use that money to still fund these long-term liabilities that we try to create with our labor partners that are better for them, if that makes sense. So with that, are there any questions on this? I'm sure there are. Go ahead, Rich.
When you said it's going to continue to increase, is that because the cost increases or the number of people or both?
Good question. So it is both. So, and that's why it increases at a high rate. So as we have, well, a little bit, yes and no. So employees hired before July 1st of 2019 receive a percentage paid of district retiree health benefits. And so as those employees that were hired before then start to retire, then you get more and more retirees that are receiving these long-term health benefits, if that makes sense. So in that regard, you are adding more and more employees. But then as some employees reach the age of 65 after retirement, they will go on to Social Security and then fall off, correct? All right. So, but because healthcare costs are going up, that for the most part will just counteract itself. But because healthcare costs continue to go up, the cost of those employees that are still in that age range continue to go up. Sorry, Medicare.
Right.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, actually.
Thank you, Eric.
Well, no, I believe, and maybe this might be something we can work on. And I don't know this. I'm old enough to where I should know this. Actually, I'm going to want to know this, but I believe, isn't it at 62?
65.
Is it? Well, I'm just thinking at 62, you can start getting Medicare, right?
No, 65.
No,
Is it
it's 65.
Oh, okay.
It's proposed to be 67.
Well, that's Social Security. That's why I want to make sure. We need to check because
This is part of our collective bargaining agreement, though. This is not law that you provide post-retirement health benefits. It's part of the negotiations that we have with our unit. So we're required to provide them till 65. That's the age
Okay,
in our collective
so in
bargaining
the
agreement.
contract, it says 65.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. Sure. Right. No, the only reason why I'm saying is because if 62, they're eligible for Medicare, which I believe they are. My thought is to save us money, why don't we have them get on Medicare and we pay the Part B, the extra stuff? Maybe it's we have to go and negotiate. I'm just saying that I think that there might be a mechanism.
Well,
No retiree health benefit.
it's 65, but you also need to understand that there are rules that we are bound to. Because this is in the contract language today,
Right.
every single person in our district who was hired under this contract language
Right.
has to have the ability to earn this. So if we're going to make any change like you're proposing, we would make it, let's say we made it today, the only people it would affect is anybody hired after today. So it wouldn't take effect for another 30 years, 25, 30 years.
I completely understand that. What I'm
Okay.
saying is, let's say that Mr. Decker was a teacher that was hired way back when and retired, and that was the agreement you're talking about is what we had. Let's say that our post benefits cost us, pick a number out of it, $700, right? If they're on Medicare, and then we could pay for the Part B part, maybe Part B only costs, it doesn't follow me. Maybe it only costs $100, $150. Maybe we go and renegotiate with those folks. Say, hey, we'll pay Part B and we'll pay a little bit different, but it saves both ways. And then maybe we can't do that contractually or not. I don't
This
know.
isn't for healthcare.
So I think we're getting
it's
into
not?
the weeds with all manner. Okay, Eric, if I may. I think we're getting into the weeds for solutions for particular situations. And I believe all Austin is saying, can we please do a carve out for one-time money into an account for that solution potentially, or paying down our unaccrued actuarial liability early to STRS if we can get a better loan. I just down the street Tuesday at the fire station for our fire district, we refinanced $15 million of pension debt from the 6.8 that PERS charges to a locked in 4.25%. That was only able to be done because it takes the sort of the same and it frees up other money. I think all you're asking for is, can we set up this account to get some money, which we are imminently thinking, depending on if the May revise is true, coming in July and August, we're going to get an infusion of money that may not be eligible to apply directly to our personnel costs and compensation. But we need to have potentially a Fund 71. So any number of ideas that may be available under that would be able to be funded. Right now, as I understand it from reading the agenda, we just don't have that particular mechanism to do it in our district. And that's, doesn't preclude any exploring options. It's just, we need to get the bucket set up so when the money comes, we can park it over there.
Got it. No, thanks for the
Okay, no,
clarification.
sorry.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So,
I just have a minor question.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying that, because right now there is one-time money that can be used to pay down our liabilities.
Yeah.
So I get that. But the part that was a little bit confusing for me was the fact that it's called Retiree Benefit Fund.
Yeah, correct.
So that's a little bit confusing. Is that the name that you came up with or why
No,
is it called that?
In the California State Accounting Manual, they
Mhm.
have a list of, well, there's 99 of them, 99 funds. And so Fund 71 is what's allowed. You're
I
allowed
see.
to use it
I
as an
see.
outside trust, and that's what the name of it.
I see. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I have a clarifying question as well.
Yes, Stephanie.
From the resolution,
Yes.
we list, our future liabilities for post-employment benefits. It's a little over $11 million.
Yes.
That is not connected to we're just noting that, right? That's not the amount that we're placing in this fund. Okay,
Correct. Yeah,
thank
good
you.
clarification. Thank you, Stephanie.
Got it.
Yeah, basically, I've done some of these actuarial things. That $11 million would be if every employee retired at the same year.
Yep.
And we had to pay them everything they could earn. So that's never going to happen, but we still have to be cautious.
So actually, that's a perfect point, Eric. So with it going up 5%, like let's say healthcare costs went up 5% next year, which is usually about kind of standard to what it does, the liability would actually go up to about just over 14 million. So you could imagine how that cost is exponentially going up quickly. So thank you, Eric.
and the word caution is probably not strong enough because with inflation, all the things that are happening right now, that 5% is probably going to be low.
Mhm.
So anyhow.
Cool.
Okay.
Want me to roll call it?
What? You have not
bring
been a
Ava
student.
back in?
Were you a student trustee?
What's that?
Were you the student
Ooh.
trustee?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
But
not.
there's no
Were
Jen,
you?
so.
Oh, was I? No, I was not.
Okay,
I
then
was
you don't
not.
get to do the, you
Dang
don't
it.
get the roll call.
So I motion to approve item 6.2, the creation of a retirement benefit fund.
I second that.
All righty.
It is a roll call.
Yep.
I'm going to start on this side. Stephanie Ahmad,
Yes.
Bill Adams.
Yes.
Rich Carnation,
Yes.
Malinali Lopez,
Yes.
Eric Heights,
Yes.
and Kai Heflin.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Okie dokie. Moving on to, thank you. Moving on to 6.3, consideration approval resolution 2021-17, granting a waiver for speech and language pathology services. This is presented by Chris Meredith.
Hey guys, so this is something that you do every year, and this is for the same individual. We were here earlier this year to approve it for this year, which was a little bit late. So we're ahead of the game. Wanted to get this done at this meeting. So what you have before you is the waiver to allow her to continue these services under her current credentials and whatnot. Any questions?
No, it's pretty standard.
I'll move to approve this resolution.
I'll second.
Okay. Superintendent Decker, ready to roll call it? Unless you were.
No.
No, okay.
Yes.
Bill Adams.
Yes.
Rich Carnation,
Yes.
Malinali Lopez,
Yes.
Eric Heights,
Yes.
and Kai Heflin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Gee, Kai, you get to make the last vote of the night there. Well, here we got one more thing. 7.1, any future school board agenda items that we need to stick on the calendar? Anybody?
I just note, and I'm sorry, I appreciate it as our usual monthly routine things. There are two parking lot items at the very end and the bottom of 7.1. One was our joint meeting with the town that we've referred to a couple of different times that need to get kickstarted. And the other, I know that we had thought about was that security meeting and getting the fire chief and the police chief here, maybe including a portion if there were methods and operations risk assessments that they would want to give us in closed session. So just if we could look at that. And that may be, depends when fire season starts for the fire chief, but that may be something that we could also do during summer, right? We could weave that in. So, and I would really like to get that joint meeting with the town. I know we had waited through the election and with that settled now.
I think Jen is working on that.
Okay.
I know I asked her to.
Okay.
On the security one, that's one that we've kind of been pushing back, and I would really like to have that done sooner than later. So then that way, if there are some good ideas that come through that way, it gives us summertime to maybe implement those before school starts.
Okay.
Whatever those might be, if there is.
I can schedule that. So we've done some work. JP and I have met to do some work, just some coordination work. I can hold that security meeting. I know we've talked about it. I'm wondering if there are very specific agenda items that we want to design it around besides like communication. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that could go. And I think I brought it up last time and I can't remember the direction you gave me.
Yeah, let's go. We can talk about it after getting it set up. But yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a closed session meeting. And it actually, I like it to be kind of more of I think we wanted to be more of a closed session mini workshop type of thing, not a half an hour discussion. It's more of in my mind, it's a 2, 3, 4 hour discussion to kind of go through some different things and whatever. But it's a closed session one because there's some things that I don't think we want necessarily certain means and methods to be public.
Okay. Well, and out of that, just to be clear on the record, there could be adjustments to our safety plan and things that of course would come out under public session. Yeah, I mean, okay. I think we've covered that enough.
Yep. Okay.
I could add one more thing well, it's not really a future agenda, but before we adjourn, I know that in consent tonight, we approved the 2022-23 calendar. We're late in the game. Should have been out a long time ago, maybe a month or two ago. So if we can push that out to the public tomorrow, if possible, or Monday at the latest.
We pushed it out ahead of
It
the
has
meeting.
been out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Kai, would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Terry's opposing. He wants to stay.
Come on, Terry.
All righty.
Thank you, Kai.
Good night, you guys. Thanks, Kai.